There's no time.
Los times.
The time is
13.
o'clock.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hi.
Kind of intro
Friday
was
night.
that? What kind of intro was that?
Seriously, any intro I do, he's
Yeah.
gonna be like, "What the fuck was that?"
Boys and girls. I didn't know what that was. That was like the beginning of Wide World of Sports or something.
This
Today-
is Howard Cosa.
How it goes. The Wide World of Sports. Yeah. What is it? The victory, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And they're showing the fucking.
Didn't he do Wide World of Sports?
Yeah, I think
I
he
kind of
did,
felt.
yeah.
I mean, I was a little kid.
That was a
when
long
that
time
that
ago.
was the 70s.
That's
man.
70s bullshit. This is going to be a pretty good show. Probably going to take us a while to fucking get warmed up.
Tom's been wanting to do this one for a really long time.
Been
So
wanting to do
he
this show
so he
for a
was
long
very, very happy when it finally won the poll.
Yeah. Did a lot of research on this case. This is a pivotal case in the world of just law enforcement, civilian firearm ownership, and the philosophy that of the police forces of the United States. Hanna was the crux of the modern law enforcement. Actually happened with this case. You're going to see why.
Yeah, it was kind of like
It's changed the game.
Yeah.
All right. And in the American gun culture, these two offenders here, man, they had some weird ass equipment that they made themselves. They were these dudes were dummies, but they weren't that dumb. They did some cool shit. They really overthought how to rob a bank and put a lot of effort into shit that ended up basically getting their asses killed anyway. This is not really how you rob a bank, but they thought it was. This was like some shit out of Heat.
Well,
Where you go in
somebody
there.
just asked if was the movie Heat based on this. It wasn't.
Probably.
Actually, I thought Heat came out a little bit before this, and actually I think, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I thought that these robbers even got
Some of
a
their
couple
ideas.
of ideas from
Okay.
Heat.
All
So
right.
maybe.
It was around the same time in the zeitgeist of the era. These were two big fucking dudes. That was another thing that made them unique. They were big fucking bodybuilders, fucking bumping some major roid rage. They were heavily armed, and they knew a lot about small arms. They made their own full automatic weapons, their own custom rigs. Emil's dissipator is an often copied firearm in the firearm world. People try to mock up that weapon that he used. It was a modified AR-15. It was a Bushmaster. And it was just a cool looking little rig. He thought up of some cool mods for that. And, guns can end up on either side of the fucking law. And as far as a quote, bad guy gun, Emil made a pretty good one. And a lot of people throughout American history did that too. Clive Barrow's BAR, pretty famous. The modifications that he did to that. Again, motorized bandits and armed bandits, the ones that ended up going down in American history, usually at least knew some things about guns, and they did train a little bit. I'd say the Barrel gang trained more, but these guys were pretty well trained, but they were self-trained. They didn't have any formalized training outside bodybuilding. But they got a lot of stuff right and a lot of stuff wrong. We're going to talk about it.
And this wasn't actually their first robbery.
No.
It was their last.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But it wasn't their first one.
Yeah, we're going to get into the details.
And Prepper POV also points out, yes, they did make their own body armor.
Yeah, they made their own body armor. They did their own modified weapons, converted stuff to full auto. This case kind of gave a lot of law enforcement and legal types in the blue states, it gave them a fucking heart attack because these guys showed people that civilian leadership that really has no military knowledge or background, showed them what two determined and skilled people were capable of. They held most of the LAPD at bay for several hours. I think it was 2 hours.
No, it was 44 minutes.
44 minutes? Okay. It seemed like a long time. I was watching it live unfold on television.
Yeah, pretty much. And actually, if you go on YouTube, you can still find the footage of it. It's everywhere. Because actually, this was actually really famous. It happened back in 1997. And news helicopters were on the scene almost immediately.
Yeah,
and they filmed pretty much the whole thing.
I watched these two dudes shoot it out with the police live. I watched them both die live. It was fucking like, wow. You couldn't believe that you saw it. But
one thing that amazes me about this shit is that the firepower that they had, and then all of the shit that happened, they were firing, they fire like a ridiculous amount of rounds. The cops were firing back at them. The SWAT team came, everything like that. And it amazes me that there were a lot of injuries. I mean, a lot of cops were shot, but none of the cops died. The only people that died were the two robbers.
Yeah. Having experienced myself in a lot of infantry training, being from good light infantry units, I'm from the 1st and the 506 and 1st 327 Recon Platoon, also known as Tiger Force. Served during the times when the U.S. Army was real strong in the fucking early to mid 90s. And then later on, my career ended up doing some, I guess you could say, working for law enforcement and some units at the fucking federal level as a contractor. Mostly in a training and support role, though. But I kind of think that they were mad at the cops. I'm not sure. They were using suppressive fire techniques. We can get in that in the middle. They weren't really using a lot of aimed or precision fire, which meant, and based upon what they were saying and what they were saying to the cops, they were using something. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. They were more, to me, watching them with a trained eye, they were more intent on getting away and holding the cops at bay than they were killing the cops.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to get away with the money because they had done it before, like I said, and because they had done a couple bank robberies prior to this and got like, what was it, $1.5 million, $2 million, something like that. And I think they suspect that they had also robbed an armored car at some point. So they had done like some successful bank robberies prior.
But they had never killed anybody.
No, they did kill one armored car.
Oh, they did?
Guy, like previously,
That's
back
right.
in '96, I think it was.
That's right. Yeah. I forgot about that.
They did kill one of the guards and they injured the other one.
Right. Maybe they killed that guy and didn't really feel that good about it. It's hard to say. Some of the things that they were doing were terror tactics.
Yeah.
And usually you do that kind of stuff to try to avoid from killing somebody. In other words, you're using like overwhelming intimidation on the enemy to try to get them to run or to leave you alone or to try to get it so where you don't have to kill that person. They were doing shit like that. A dude that really wants to kill you doesn't say a fucking word. You don't even see him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shoots you in the back of the head from fucking 150 meters. All right. You never even knew he was there. But a dude that's yelling and screaming and making slurs against you and stuff and shooting at you is usually, it's like a lot of bark and not a whole lot of bite. You're trying to keep you at bay. You're using a lot of intimidation tactics.
Yeah, I mean...
That's what they trained us to do, but in a very different way. You know what I mean? Like we were trained to do things like double tap and end kill zones during fucking sweep. In other words, not taking any prisoners, but killing the wounded. In the units that I was in. That was in the era of our times. Also a lot of shit, fucking psychological shit. Cussing, screaming, yelling during charges and shit. You do everything you can to puff yourself up in the face of the enemy to try to get them to break and run. Because it's a lot easier to shoot somebody in the back than it is to shoot somebody in the front while they're fucking returning fire.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of goes without saying.
Yeah. You're not there to fight fair.
Yeah.
Get that out of your fucking mind. Warfare is not fair. It's not a fair stand-up fight. It's organized murder. And if you're not doing it that way, then you're wrong. You're going to die.
Yeah, Trace Render is saying, wouldn't the rounds have been armor piercing? I did. Yeah, most of their rounds they did have a lot of armor piercing rounds. And the thing about it was that they were, a lot of their weapons were illegally modified, and the cops didn't have anything to that until the SWAT team did, but it took like 18 minutes for the SWAT team to get there.
Okay, I'm going to reverse something Jenny said. She's going to get mad. But it's her sources. Many of the sources say that it was armor piercing rounds. That's a lie. They weren't. The only thing that they had, it was civilian grade small armed rifle ammunition in 5.56 and 7.62 by 39 Soviet. And what they were calling armor piercing is California prosecutors were calling it armor piercing. And what it was steel core Norinco, basic steel core Norinco AK rounds. It is not an armor-piercing round. Now, some states classified it as that, but it does not pierce. It does not penetrate armor any better than just a regular lead round. They put a mild steel core in the center of some of the Chinese Communist 7.62 rounds to displace the lead because steel is cheaper than lead. So yeah, it's a little bit lighter in the core, but it's cheaper. And a lot of them had steel jacketed bullets that were copper washed, but that's also does not aid in penetration or armor penetration. It's just cheaper than using solid copper. You got to have a jacket over the bullet when it's moving that fast going down the barrel, or it'll just foul the barrel up, leave a lot of lead deposits behind. So you normally would put a copper jacket around it to help lubricate it. But copper's expensive. It's cheaper to just put a thin sheet metal around it. That's a lot cheaper. And then just wash it with copper, because it's not going to be going down the rifling barrels for very long. So that's just one way to get the round a couple cents cheaper per round. And you can make it a lot faster. It's not those. This doesn't have strategic metals involved. But at the time that all this shit came out, basically California wanted to ban all guns. So they were trying to demonize every aspect of the equipment that these guys used. But it was actually just regular shit. It wasn't anything real exotic. You could get that ammo everywhere, anywhere. True armor piercing is something that's been covered in Teflon. It'll lubricate its way through body armor. Or it's got tungsten steel core, which is real hard, real dense. You know, it's kind of like the closest you're going to get to like depleted uranium. You know, depleted uranium is very expensive. But tungsten is similar. It's a lot cheaper. That would be considered armor piercing. But just not mild steel core. That's very technical shit.
Yeah, Sleazy B said after that shootout is when cops started carrying assault rifles.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they were outgunned on this one.
Right. This was in an era where a lot of the police in the blue states weren't getting real good support. Their political leadership really didn't like police, and they definitely didn't like guns. They wanted to give those guys just revolvers. But they'd have been sitting ducks for a civilian that could get their hands on decent weaponry. So, you know, the police unions demanded that every squad car should have access to some kind of an AR-15, an assault rifle. Well, you call it an assault rifle. It's not an assault rifle. Technically, an assault rifle would have been an M16, which is a full auto version of an AR-15. They just wanted a semi-auto carbine that was combat capable, which would have been an AR-15. And that way, if they needed one, they had it. They didn't have to go rob the damn gun store to get it, which is what they eventually had to do to confront these guys. Very sensible. There's nothing really powerful about an AR-15. It's a medium, what they call it's a very light carbine firing a mid-size rifle cartridge in 22 caliber. 22 caliber bullet behind a case about that long. Pretty effective, but you're not talking about a deer rifle cartridge is a lot more powerful.
You know what's interesting to me about this, though, is that before this whole shit happened, because like I said, both of them had criminal records. Not for anything like this necessarily, but I don't know if they were ever convicted of that armored car thing where that guy got killed, but they are pretty sure that that's who was doing it. But they actually got pulled over for speeding, and there was like a whole fucking arsenal in their goddamn car. Like they had all that stuff. They also had smoke bombs and all this other kind of stuff. And they got arrested for something else, but they didn't do that much time. Like they did maybe like 100 days or something, and then they let them back out again, and they gave them all their shit back.
Yeah, well, they weren't like known hardcore criminals during that time, and they didn't have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
when they pulled them over, they weren't. I don't think they were even felons. I think they could own firearms at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been. But like I said, I don't know if they ever got convicted of the shit earlier, because they do suspect that they had done like 2 or 3 bank robberies prior and one armored car where like one of the guards got killed. Yeah.
Well, they were suspected. That means they kind of put it on them. It hasn't been proven. But they probably did.
Well, it was the same tactics. Like they used like the same tactics for it, and I don't think they ever caught them for it. But they're pretty sure that
probably
that's
them.
what it was. That's because it was like the exact same shit. So, and, maybe they were convicted because, like, everybody says, they got 1.5 million from that one before. And then, this one didn't go the way they had planned for it.
You're right. I remembered the word I was looking for. It's called an intermediate rifle cartridge. The AK and the AR-15 both fire intermediate rifle cartridges.
Yeah, Prepper BOV said that.
You said that? Yeah, okay.
A while back.
It's in between a pistol cartridge and a rifle cartridge. So it's a small rifle cartridge. It came out of World War II when they were trying to blend rifles in with submachine guns. And you end up with something that's kind of in the middle, which would have been like an AK-47. Kind of like a submachine gun firing a small rifle cartridge. Because submachine guns went away. A submachine gun is a small full auto weapon that fires pistol rounds. It's okay up close, but beyond 100 meters, there's not a... So they wanted the assault rifle merged the abilities of the submachine gun and the rifle together into one weapon. That way you didn't have to issue two separate weapons. You could issue one that would do both jobs. So let's see what everybody's doing in the comment section.
Yeah, and I got a couple of shout-outs as well.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to give a thank you to Eric, who was here last time, I think on our Wednesday night show, and he asked if there was some way to give a PayPal donation, and I guess he figured out how to do it because he gave us a very generous PayPal donation, so thank you very much for that. I can't remember, Eric Hill, if you're here or you show up later, if you wanted a t-shirt or not. I don't think so because I didn't see anything, but if you do, let me know and we'll get that out to you. Speaking of t-shirts, okay, so I wrote down, like, Victor wanted one, so we got that. And David June, we're going to get yours out as soon as I had to order, like, because I had run out of that size, so I had to, like, order a couple of those. And also, no need for me to, I just ordered the shirts, all the shirts you wanted with the pet sizes and all that other kind of stuff. So all that stuff should be here in a day or two, and then we'll get that printed and then get it out to you. So I just wanted everybody to know that we got it under control, mostly. Well, as under control as we have shit. Also, I pretty much finished the cookbook. And all I have to do now is I started uploading it to Lulu, and I have to, like, I uploaded the cover, and I have to, like, upload all the inner pages because I had to get an ISBN and everything like that. After that, I'm not really sure. Like I said, I usually use CreateSpace, so I don't know how Lulu works. I don't know if I'm going to have to order, like, a proof copy. If I do, I think I'd rather have a physical proof copy that I can look at rather than just, because I know CreateSpace will let you, like...
And then we can show it to them, too.
Yeah, like, CreateSpace will let you... look at a proof copy online. You don't have to order, like, a physical copy, but I think for something like this, I think I'd rather have a physical copy so I can see if anything's fucked up. So it might be a little while, but like I said, it is finished, the design and everything. So it took way longer than I thought it was going to, but at least it's fucking done. And so I'm trying to get it all, like, uploaded. I got it, like, partially uploaded, and I'm still working on it. But so I just wanted everybody to know that it is, I'm still doing it. All right, so anything that you would like to... Mr. Roboto says, what cookbook? Oh, well, you must be new here.
Yeah. The cookbook we've been working on for a year, yeah.
Yeah, it's been... I was supposed to have it done by Christmas, but it just... Other shit intervened, and I couldn't get to it, and, like, all this other kind of shit. But it's finally done now. When did we get the idea? I don't even remember when we got the idea, because people said, man, you guys keep going off on, like, tangents and talking about food and shit. Yeah. And it's like... And, and he used to be a cook, and... Yeah. And he still cooks, like, every day. Made a big meatloaf today. It was really good.
Made some meatloaf.
I'm gonna have
made two of them. The other one I froze.
I'm gonna have some of that after the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so somebody said, well, why don't you write a cookbook? So we're like, hey, that's a good idea. I didn't realize, like, how long it was. I've done book layouts before, but I don't know. I'm so, like, picky about our own shit because I can't ever get it right. And I'm never, like, happy with it. Like, I get it done and I'm just like, I don't like it. I'm going to start all over. But then, like, finally I was just kind of like, I have to stop fucking overthinking it because I always fucking do that. This is why everything takes me forever. Like, with other people's stuff, I'm not as bad as that. But with my own stuff, I'm just kind of like, I'll just sit there and tinker with it forever. So, But, yeah, so what else did you have to add? Anything?
Gramthars Hammer's guy who's in the comment section I went to high school with, who was, he's a retired police officer. He said that because of this case, they issued him I think he said it was a Colt M4 SBR, which is a short-barreled rifle, with the 3-round burst on it, which means that was an ex-military gun, or at least something slated for the military with the 3-shot burst. We had that too when I was in the Army. I hated the 3-shot burst, though. It wouldn't reset. You had to let all 3 out. If you didn't, the next pull might only be 1 or 2, depending on how many you had unleashed after that. Just kind of a crappy... What they should have put in that Gramthars is just a really good semi-auto trigger, like something out of damn KE Arms, like a KE Arms trigger, little short throw, light trigger. You could pull that faster than fucking 3-round burst if you wanted it, and just more precision. Just, you know, heavy military trigger pulls. They kind of suck. Anyway, go ahead.
Danny Rolling Ghostface says they should have had a getaway driver. Probably. I don't know if it would have helped them necessarily.
I don't think it would have.
Because the thing about it was that they seemed to have, like you said, they overthought everything. They had cased the place for a while beforehand, and they had all these plans and timing and all this other kind of stuff. But, you know, as with anything else, best laid plans of mice and men. You know how that goes? And it's like some shit happened that they were not anticipating, which...
They were when I say they were overthinking this, they were overthinking it in this way. They wanted these real high-profile takeover robberies where they go in there just loaded for bear, looking like the fucking Terminator. They'd scare the shit out of everybody, fucking shoot the place up on the inside, get past the tellers, and get into the vault and get where the big bucks was. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
You can only, you know, when you doing shit like that, man, you're gonna attract a lot of fucking attention. You're gonna go right to the top of the list. They're gonna be gunning for you. They had dudes that were doing real subtle note jobs, just going in there with a damn piece of paper saying, "I got a gun in my pocket. Give me what you got in the register right there." And they had dudes that would do that for decades and never get caught. And over time, got more money.
It's not splashy.
It's not splashy. And over time, pulled more money out of it and never got killed. And when they got caught, they didn't have a gun on them, so they couldn't really get them for armed robbery. Just kind of like bank robbery. They didn't get very much time for it. It's called a note job.
I mean, if I was going to rob a bank, that's totally the route I would go.
Right.
I would tell people that I had a weapon, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, they don't actually have one.
Because then if they caught you, you'd be like, I don't have anything.
They're not going to get as much time.
Right.
And they would get away with it. I don't know if they're still able to get away with it the way that they were, but they were so low on the totem pole that and the banks were insured against them. It wasn't a big priority to go after guys like that. And
because they're not hurting they're not endangering anyone.
Well,
really.
Yeah, well, it's not obvious. The law is going to say they are okay. That they're endangering people. All right, because they have to err on the side of caution.
Well, yeah.
They can say the guy's a threat. But they know the profile of dudes that do note jobs. Guys that are doing note jobs almost never kill anybody. They know when that's a note job. They see it through the camera and just the techniques that they're doing, and they're just trying to talk their way into money.
Yeah.
You know, through threat. If they catch them, they do time, but not as much time as, say, a takeover robbery like this. Especially where you're engaging the entire police department, endangering them all, shooting at them, fucking with suppressive fire.
And endangering everyone in the area.
Yeah, right.
And all of the civilians that were in the bank and in the parking lots and in the company, like the, businesses and houses around the bank as well.
Just scaring the fuck out of the public at large. You're a fucking menace to society.
Yeah, big time.
And Emil probably could have been arrested and taken alive, but they made sure he died. Those dudes didn't survive. They
did not.
Yeah.
Dom the Bomb said, sorry, I must have been a little late. What was the shootout about? It was a bank robbery went horribly, horribly wrong. And somebody said, oh, wait, did they take it away? Okay.
Did they take it away?
Did they actually kill anyone inside the bank? They did not.
No.
Amazingly, even though, like I said, they shot like a ridiculous, what was it, like 1,100 rounds or something like that. It was just like a ridiculous amount of firepower, and I am amazed that they did not kill anyone, even accidentally. Like I said, a lot of people got shot or injured, but nobody died except them.
Yeah. Well, they were wearing, I don't want to, I'm getting ahead of the fucking game, but, the cops had body armor on. A lot of rounds were skipping off of the ground. A lot of them were getting shot through cars. People were hiding behind trees.
That guy that hid behind the tree, he almost died.
Yeah, he was shot up in the legs.
But he lived.
Yeah.
Amazingly. I don't know how he did. Because I was watching a documentary about it. I'm like, how did that guy fucking survive? Holy shit.
A lot of these cops that survived this, too, didn't go back on a job either. This was their last day.
Well, you can't blame them.
Well, their heart wasn't in it. Some of them came back. There's been a lot of cops have been shot up bad. They're like soldiers. You know what I mean? They get shot up pretty bad. As soon as they heal up, they're back on the job. Some guys it's just in them. Gramthars probably knows guys like that. He might be one of them. I don't know if he was ever shot.
Well, you have to think too. This happened in 1997, and I feel like in LA, I watched a couple different documentaries about this. And one of the documentaries, like one woman, she worked for the police, and she said that at this time period in LA, there were like in Los Angeles, there were like 3 bank robberies a day. Not all as like fucking big and epic as this one, obviously.
They're probably no jobs.
But yeah, she's like there was a thing where it was kind of like a rash of bank robberies right around this time period.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the bank robbery unit or whatever. Like the cops that specialized in that were like super busy like all the time because it was always going on.
Some of these cops that walked off the job because of this, some of them, I've seen interviews with them. I didn't really kind of respect them that much. I think they just wanted that check, wanted that retirement check. Because really, police department, if it's working right and it's a good police department, there's a lot of esprit de corps between the cops. That's like your brotherhood. That's your tribe. And it's just like me when I was in the Army. If a guy got injured or hurt, I was in my hospital bed fighting, trying to fight my way out of that coma to get back to my unit, because you're just trying to get back to your unit. You don't want the unit to continue on without your help because you see yourself as helping the others, But, I guess some police departments aren't like that. Maybe LAPD wasn't like that.
Well, the thing about it is that you have to think, too, that's like maybe some of these people were going to retire anyway, and it was just kind of like, well, it's like, it's just a little sooner than...
I'll let Gramthars chime in on that.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll let Gramthars chime in on that, what he thinks about it.
I feel like most of them... I saw one documentary, I don't know if this was on Discovery or something like that. I saw it on YouTube, but I think it was originally on Discovery, the History Channel or whatever. But they have a whole series called Shootout. And it's about all different shootouts. So they had a show about this one, and they talked to like a lot of the cops, and a lot of the you have to think too, like there were a couple of cops that actually like went into the hot zone, like while all the gunfire was going on, like to actually try and save, some of the cops that have been shot.
Yeah.
So so there was a lot of that shit going on too.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to kill me. You know what I mean? Fuck, I'm not leaving the unit. That's just the way it is. And if you get shot up, you go back to your unit with your fucking Purple Heart, fucking drop your nuts like a fucking G. Tell war stories and tell other people what to do. That's
That's Tom's favorite thing.
That's what you do, man. Fucking give me a fucking coffee. Go get me some fucking coffee. Just shit like that. You know what I mean?
What are you gonna do if they go no?
No, they get the coffee. Talking about.
If you said that to me, I'd be like, no, get your own fucking coffee.
Go give me some coffee.
Your arms aren't broken.
Hold on, my leg's healing up. My leg's healing up. Got the fucking Purple Heart hanging.
I'm like, limp your ass in there and get your own coffee. Yeah. I'm an asshole, though. Yeah. Mr. Robota says, Tom, one day away from retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
All right, so you want to talk about these motherfuckers now?
Yeah,
these motherfuckers.
Let's see if
what a man will do for some coffee, says Prepper POV. I understand that. I wish I could order people to go get me coffee, just like random ass people, and they'd bring it to me. That'd be pretty rad. All right, so excuse me a second. Oh yeah. All right. I swear to God, this is only my first drink. Okay. So these are the 2 dudes that we're talking about. Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Matasareanu, I think how you pronounce it. Matasareanu, yeah.
I think it's Matasareanu. He was a Romanian. Romanian guy.
I think he'd lived here a while, but I think he was born in Romania, yeah.
Yeah, and these are big dudes. They're like 6'4".
Yeah, and that's actually where they met. I don't know a huge amount about them prior to this, but they actually met famous Gold's Gym in Venice Beach in 1989 and started hanging out together.
Yep, that's where Arnie came from. Arnie and all his boys.
Like I said, that's very famous weightlifting scene there.
Down at Muscle Beach.
So they not only had that in common, but they also had petty crime in common.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had something to talk about.
And they loved guns. They fucking loved guns.
Yeah, they were super into
and they were
firearms.
pissed. They were real pissed at the state of California because the state of California passed an assault rifle ban. And they were big into that kind of shit. So, according to some of the stuff that I picked up on the peripheries from friends that they had, they kind of saw themselves as being like behind enemy lines. They did not like the state of California. They didn't like its government. That's
Dom the Bomb says, what year did this happen? It was 1997.
Yeah.
1997. Yeah, so they were both really into guns, really into weightlifting. So they started like hanging out together. Now, prior to them meeting, Larry Phillips actually did have a criminal record. Nothing violent. It was mostly like shoplifting. He was real into running like real estate scams, that kind of shit. You know, so kind of penny ante. Emil, I don't know if he had a record prior to meeting Larry, but he actually had a computer repair business. I guess he was like an electrical engineer or something like that, but I guess the business wasn't doing all that well, or he had just started it, so it wasn't doing all that well because it was new. Now, they all hung out together, and I guess they got the idea, since Larry in particular was kind of into, let's, you know, do some crimes and make some money. So they decided back in 1993 that they were going to rob an armored car. So they did that. That was in Littleton, Colorado in July of 1993. Now, later on that year, they actually got arrested. This is what I was referring to earlier. In Glendale, in California, they got arrested for speeding. Now, the cops searched their car, and because Larry had like surrendered, he had a concealed weapon like on him, so he surrendered. So they searched his car. They found 2 semi-automatic rifles, 2 handguns, 1,600 rounds of rifle ammunition, 1,200 rounds, you know, of various other things. Just like a shit ton of stuff, basically.
He had a couple cases of ammo.
Yeah, radio scanners, smoke bombs, improvised bombs, body armor, and 3 different California license plates. This doesn't look too good when you're driving around with that in your car, and also you're speeding. Probably should keep to the speed limit when you're driving around with that kind of stuff. Just a pro tip.
The improvised bombs part, I remember seeing that on the list. I'm not buying that, but go ahead. Because a homemade improvised munition is an easy 10 years right there. Minimum. That's like having a machine gun. And the feds could pick that up. So I don't think we're getting the right story on that. I think what they found is things that could be used in improvised munitions. I don't think there was any explosives.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going by what every source I saw said.
I don't know. Yeah, I saw that. I don't believe it. Because that's a big charge. If he had something like HE or fucking ANFO or Semtex or any kind of high explosive, even if it was just gunpowder packed into a pipe bomb, they'll give you 10 years for that. No ifs, ands, or buts. And they would have put it on him. So I don't think that part is correct. I think it's a mistranslation, a misunderstanding. They probably found something like triggers. If any people know anything about improvised munitions, a trigger could be anything like a clothespin. A clothespin with copper contacts on the teeth. You see, what you could do is you could put a wire on one side of one tooth of the clothespin and a wire on the other side, and make an electric circuit. And put a piece of plastic in the middle with a string. So when you pull on the string, it pulls the plastic in between the teeth and it makes a contact. That would set the bomb off. That would be a trigger.
Well, maybe it was something like that.
Yeah. The thing is that a trigger is not illegal. They just know what that is.
Well, yeah,
so they can't charge you.
I mean, the thing is, if your whole car is full of shit like that, then that looks a little suspicious.
It looks suspicious, but it wouldn't be illegal. Wouldn't be illegal. And then
technically it's not illegal.
That's why he didn't really. Right.
Well, again, it's not illegal to drive around with duct tape and garbage bags and rope and shit like that in your trunk. It just looks real fishy. Yeah, that's all. That's all I'm saying. So they get arrested. Now, they were charged initially with conspiracy to commit robbery because it looked very clearly like that's what they were planning on doing. But they actually got really, really light sentences. They both served 100 days and then got 3 years probation. After they were released 3 years later, they got pretty much all their shit back. So there you go.
Yeah, so that's weird. They got him on something. What was the actual charge?
Conspiracy to commit robbery.
Okay. All right. So there was enough stuff in there they could say you might be making a robbery.
Yeah. Because like I said,
and they probably made him take a plea deal, which probably pissed him off. And they probably were going to do something crazy. It's my understanding based on...
Well, and they had done an armored car prior, so...
Yeah, but the way the attitude is, well, they didn't prove that. They didn't prove that we did that. They cheated. That's how these guys think. My understanding was they had very expensive tastes. They needed a lot of money in steroids and shit. They had they liked expensive guns. They needed money from their point of view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
they're like, hey, we've got all this stuff. We can get money really easily.
They're like, man, we need to rob this bank so I can buy that new rifle.
That's probably exactly what they're...
That's the kind of shit that, dude, man, fuck, can we rob that bank? I'll get that new HK91 that they came out.
The thing that kills me
That's the way they're thinking.
The thing that kills me about bank robberies is that if you plan a bank robbery for a really long time and... You know, you have everything sorted out, and then you do it, and you get away with it, and you get away with... Because I think one of their prior bank robberies, I think they got away with $1.5 million. Stop. Yeah, you have $1.5 million.
Yeah, but two dudes like this in California that'd go through their hands quickly.
Just don't do it anymore.
They'd fucking spend that...
Just fuck off to another country. They'll never catch you.
They spent all that shit on fucking...
Don't do it again.
Getting high, doing steroids.
Don't do it again.
Dating bikini girls.
Lack of forethought.
Yeah.
Shit, man, if I got away with a bank robbery with $1.5 million, I'm set for life, man. Yeah. I'm moving to fucking Bimini or some shit like that. I'm moving somewhere where there's not any fucking extradition treaty.
Those two dudes fucking spent that shit quickly.
They'll never find my ass. Yeah. Holy shit. I don't know why they didn't just do that. Because like I said, they did like a couple successful jobs prior to this. Yeah, so they got out. So then, in June of 95, these two dudes did another armored car job. This was a Brinks armored car. This was in Winnetka. They ambushed it, and this is the one they actually killed a guard, whose name was Herman Cook, and they seriously injured the other one. And then, in May of 1996, they robbed two different branches of Bank of America. That was in San Fernando Valley. And from these two robberies, as I mentioned earlier, they got about $1.5 million. And they got away with it. So they get called, I love this name, the High Incident Bandits. High Incident Bandits.
Yeah, it's a high incident, yeah.
Which I thought, that sounds like a good band name.
Yeah.
The High Incident Bandits.
It was a big incident. You see that dude, what that dude did? Yeah, that's all. They're laughing that I said they were spent the money on dating bikini girls. Yeah, those California bikini girls over there on fucking Muscle Beach probably could run right through you, probably.
They could probably spend $1.5 million. I'm just saying, if it was me, if I had spent all this time and I said, okay, I got away like scot-free with $1.5 million, like I said, I'm going into fucking hiding. Yeah. You're never going to find my ass. I'm going to live the rest of my life on that shit.
These dudes were bodybuilders. They couldn't hide.
Do it again.
They couldn't hide. They were bodybuilders.
See, I could. But you could use some of that $1.5 million to get, like, facial reconstruction. And then, like, you'd look different.
It's just not the mentality of these guys. They were high visibility.
Because they're not, like, master criminals like I am. No. Yeah, I'm a master criminal.
Yeah, if you're a master criminal, I don't think you'd be doing these shows.
Well, no. It's like I said, if I was a master criminal, I'd be like, I wouldn't even be on here. I'd be off in the fucking French Riviera someplace, like laying on the beach. I'd have all the money I ever needed. Yeah, actually, I do like to think about it sometimes. That's why I kind of like, not these two assholes, but like, I like big heists where nobody gets hurt. And, people just, like, spend years and years. Like I said, like, the fucking Antwerp diamond heist and all that kind of shit. Like, that fascinated me because those dudes spent, like, 2 fucking years planning that shit. And they got people in there, like, as moles, like, to work in the place. And the people, like, worked there for, like, 2 years so they could get all the inside information. And they were just, like, and they didn't hurt anybody. But they got away with, like, $1 billion worth of shit. It's, like, it was amazing.
Yeah, we got fanboys in the comment section that know this case pretty well. Like, Prepper and Xanada. Xanada knows this case real well too. They weren't going to stop. They were adrenaline junkies.
Yeah.
They were kind of like, just like what Prepper says. these are kind of like gambling addicts.
Yeah.
They were never going to stop. And no matter how much money they got their hands on, they would spend every bit of that shit. That's what they were doing. They'd buy body armor and guns and ammo and spend it on drugs and performance-enhancing drugs and steroids and probably girls and booze and go right back to robbing banks. These guys weren't going anywhere.
See, it's like that just seems like so... Like, I'm not saying that if I wasn't a master criminal and I had, like, a shit ton of money, yeah, I would spend some of it on, like, nice food and vacations and stuff like that. I would spend some of it on booze, probably, like, a lot of booze, but not all of it.
You're not a 6'2" fucking muscle man on fucking roids.
Well, clearly. I'm glad I'm not.
Hormones are a hell of a drug.
I know.
Okay. Steroids is an improved version of testosterone. It's an improved hormone. It's more targeted to muscle growth, but it affects the mind in a way very similar to testosterone. Makes you very hard driving, very kind of emotional and impulsive, especially at the doses that these guys needed. Being as big as they were taking a lot. And you do get a rush from it. You get a Superman feeling. They didn't care if they were going to get caught. They were just going to go out. You know what I mean? That was for another time. They weren't worried about that at that time. No, they were having fun.
Well, plus, before this particular job, they took muscle relaxants.
This is a huge power rush for them.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why they're taking muscle relaxants is because when you're on steroids, sometimes you'll get kind of cramps. You'll get sore real fast because it's kind of like a small workout becomes kind of like a bigger, more effective workout. It's kind of one of the things that it'll kind of do to you. So the muscle relaxants would limber you up, keep you from getting real sore just running around.
Yeah.
You know.
See, that's why I knew this was going to be a good show. But that's why I knew you wanted to do this show, because you know about weightlifting and you know about all the guns they use. So it's kind of like this is right in your bailiwick.
Yeah, and the drugs that the kind of drugs that they were taking. Some of those performance-enhancing drugs, you'll get sore just sitting still for too long. Some of them. They say Trenbolone will do that. It'll fucking just make you shredded as a motherfucker. But if you stay still any longer than about, like evidently they can't drive. Dude's got to stop and get out of the car and stretch his legs and walk around and go, oh. And then he gets back in his car and drive for another 20, 30 minutes. And he goes, I got to get out of the car. Yeah.
Oh, my knees.
My legs. Well, because your legs kind of like cramping up, you know. Yeah.
Rusty asked, what sources are we using? Mostly like Wikipedia. There was some Vice shit. There was a couple of documentaries. There was one that was called Shootout. There was one that was called 44 Minutes, I think. And I watched that as well and took some notes on that.
I watched it happen live.
I remember watching it happen live, but that was like a long time ago.
Blew my fucking mind. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
I saw some of the, they showed like some of the clips and shit like that. But like I said, I think you can see the whole thing on YouTube.
You can get the whole thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's still on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Xanada said this was such an epic moment of 90s history. I remember right where I was.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when this happened. I mean, how old was I? 97? That was like, I was 25.
I don't remember where
25. I was 25.
It was 97?
Yeah.
I'd have been in Boston at the time. No. I was in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I was in Mississippi, my first wife. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to remember where I was when I saw it. I might have been at work.
I can't remember where I was. Like, I don't think I sat there and watched the whole thing, but I kept, like, glancing over. I might have been at work as well.
They showed them basically both die on live TV.
Yeah, and like I said, if you watch the documentaries now, which just show the clips, they show at least Larry dying.
Yeah, they show Larry fucking... I guess he blew his own head off. It's hard to tell.
You can't really tell if he did that or if he just, like, kind of fucked up.
They say that he committed suicide, but...
Well, one of the cops shot him at the same time, too, but I don't know if that would have killed him or just paralyzed him.
And also, I was kind of under the... I thought it might have been an accident, too, because he looked like... I think he got shot in his hand and knocked a thumb off or something, and then his pistol malfunctioned, and it looked like he looked into the damn barrel, and then... That's what
some of the cops on the documentary were saying too. They're like, we weren't entirely sure, like if
I think he just
like if he just accidentally blew his own head off, or if he meant to do it.
I remember. They
thought maybe he.
I think it was an accident. I think it was an accident.
Some of the cops said that too. Like they weren't sure.
It looked like an accident to me.
Well, like you said, that he had been hit in the hand.
He'd been shot. I didn't think it knocked his thumb off, and it damaged the pistol.
Yeah,
and he looked at the pistol, and it went off.
Yeah.
I think he looked at the pistol and pulled the trigger to see if it was still working, and not realizing that he was looking down the barrel when he pulled the trigger. He's being shot at.
Well,
So-
and like I said, as soon as that happened, like
Yeah.
a cop, one of the rounds shot, like
Yeah,
got
he's
him in
being
the
shot in
spine.
other
Like I think it
places.
got him like in the spine.
Yeah,
like
he
it
was being
severed his
shot
spinal
at.
column.
There were fucking live rounds going everywhere. It happened so fast. I think he got confused, and they were under a lot of adrenaline and fucking. There was, like you said, they were on drugs too. They were on performance enhancing drugs and downers and muscle relaxants. They tried to, but then they were just going through the roof, yelling at everybody and swearing at everybody. And some of the shit that they were saying was evidently pretty wild. Some of the I'll get into it later.
Larry
They were
asked,
using fucking psychological terror tactics on the cops. Fucking calling them all kinds of faggots and shit.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Larry asked, so where in Mississippi?
Was it at that time that I was watching it, or where did I live?
Probably the time you lived. Well, I don't know. Just either
it's in
either place.
Gulfport.
Gulfport,
At that time,
Mississippi.
yeah.
Never look at the barrel of a loaded gun, says Xanada. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
Good
It
life-
looked
good
like he
life
looked
advice.
down. It looked like he looked down
Well,
into
like I
it
said-
and maybe pulled the trigger to see if it was still working, because he thought it didn't work and it went off.
It was working.
Because it hit him in the hand and the
That's
pistol.
some Wile E.
simultaneously.
Coyote shit.
Yeah. Well, he was under fire and it was happening real fast.
Does
and I
it
don't-
work? Blam.
Huh?
He put it kind of under his chin. It was like under his
Yeah,
chin. It wasn't
I'd
like
have to
in
see
his
it again.
face.
I hadn't seen it in a while. I just remember.
It was kind of under his chin.
Yeah, I'd have to see it again. That's just kind of how I remembered it.
I mean, you know, he's a fucking bank robber. Fuck him.
Right.
So, you know, I'm kind of... But yeah, they weren't real sure. Like I said, I think some sources say, yeah, maybe he committed suicide, but I think most of the cops said we couldn't really tell. Like, we
Yeah.
thought maybe it might have been an accident. Like, he didn't mean to do
The
that.
video that I saw was kind of from a distance with it was from the helicopter.
Yeah.
And they're trying to zoom in on him. It's not really clear.
Yeah, because there was a bunch of cop helicopters and news helicopters, like, going around. That's why they got the whole thing on video.
It happened real fast.
Fourth throwdown said, and then an anvil fell on his head.
Yeah.
Which would have been really funny if that had actually really happened. All right, so you want to talk about... Actually, maybe you should get me a new drink before
Okay.
we start.
You want another one of those? You want an orange?
Let's do orange this time. I know you just made the lemonade. But after that, we'll kind of get into the timeline. Yeah, Xanadu was saying they took shots at the choppers too, which, yeah, they did. And actually, the helicopters, because they had, you know, kind of more long-range shit than the cops had, so the helicopters actually did kind of have to move out of the way. But I just thought that was again, very cartoonish. It's like we're just shooting at the fucking helicopters going over. I don't know. I wonder when it was broadcast live how many were rooting for the bad guys. Yeah, probably some people were. I mean, this is like, I don't know. Like I said, if you're gonna rob a bank, just fucking walk in there. Don't have a weapon. Just a pro tip. And just don't have a weapon. You can lie and say you have a weapon, but don't like don't like fucking shoot up the ceiling like these motherfuckers did or anything like that, because somebody could get hurt. You know, if you have to rob a bank, I don't have any love for banks in particular, so it's like I'm not really that worried about it. Plus, like I said, they're insured, but you know, so I'm not really all that bothered if nobody gets hurt. But these motherfuckers, seriously, fuck these dudes. Yeah, Xana said I'm not a fan of Bank of America. Just say, yeah, a lot of people aren't. I do have accounts there, but, you know, it's just kind of like, ooh, orange. All right. So let's get into the day. Yeah, everyone's saying screw Bank of America. Yeah, and basically, if somebody wants to rob, like I said, as long as they don't hurt anybody, if they just walk in with a note and again give me some fucking money, like I said, they're insured. What do they have, like billions and billions of dollars? What?
Do not incite people to crime. Leave them fucking banks alone. If you really want to fuck with the banks, fucking get Bitcoin.
Dean says, can you ask Tom what might happen if you shot into the rotating helicopter blade? Because Xanadu was saying that they actually did shoot at the helicopters that were going over, because they did.
Not much.
Nothing would happen?
Not much. No. You can do that. You can shoot into those blades. You could really... I mean, the UH-1 Huey and the UH-60 Blackhawk, especially the UH-1, took a lot of fire during Vietnam in its career and never reported any problems. Even if you got small arms fire hitting the main rotor, nothing would happen. Yeah, it probably just go through it, do a little bit of damage, but that won't bring the helicopter down.
Well, I would hope not.
Nah.
I mean, you would think that...
Yeah. World War I pilots used to shoot their own propellers. They just put deflectors on the back of the propellers before they figured
It's
out.
like, shit.
Before they figured out how to put an interrupter on the machine gun so they could shoot through the propellers. They just put some fucking
That's right. I remember
flat plates in there.
I remember like watching a documentary. About
Yeah,
how
they just hit the propeller. It didn't matter.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We probably won't die. It'll be fine. All right. So we're talking about the morning of February 28th, 1997. Now, these two dudes, I guess they had been casing this joint for a couple of months prior to this, and they'd had all these plans and shit like that. So this was the Bank of America branch, which was at 6600 Laurel Canyon Boulevard. So they put on all of their homemade body armor. They got all of their firepower, which they had, which I'm sure Tom knows all of the
they took a bunch of
weaponry
shit
that
with
they
them.
had. Wikipedia says semi-automatic HK-91, several illegally converted weapons, 2 Norinco Type 56S rifles, fully automatic Norinco Type 56S1, fully automatic Bushmaster XM15 dissipator.
Yes. Okay. It's an HK-91. Okay. Which was that was the semi-auto version, the American semi-auto version of the G3 rifle. It was a 7.62 battle rifle. This is pretty good. There was 3 AKs, 3 Norincos.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 AKs, Norinco AKs, which are very good quality, especially for the time. Some people laugh at Chinese shit. Yeah, a lot of Chinese products sucked, but things that came out of Norinco and Polytech Company were very good AK clones. The Type 56, it was carried in Chinese service for a long time. It was deluxe. It's a deluxe AK, real nice. It wasn't like a European AK though. There was differences in it. But they took those and they converted them to full auto, and they did it using full auto bolt carriers, re-drilled the receivers, put in the pin kits and all the fucking trigger parts, so it was select fire. It was semi-auto, full auto, and safe. So all 3 selections, all 3 positions on the selector. So they knew what they were doing. The other one was a thing called a dissipator. It was made by Bushmaster. It was Bushmaster was a company that kind of cloned Colt M16s or AR-15 type stuff. It was mostly the military spec. The dissipator ended up being real famous because of that was the one that Emil was using, and he had a modified dissipator, which was basically a Colt AR-15 or M16A2 rifle. Instead of a 20-inch barrel, it had a 16-inch barrel, and Emil put a collapsible stock on it. I don't think the original had the collapsible stock on it. I think the original had a fixed stock. And one of the things that was of note of Emil's dissipator is that he took the A2 handguards off of it and put Colt M16A1 triangular M16 handguards on it. It looked cool as fuck. I got a picture of one right here. Then he took the flash suppressor off and put a muzzle brake on there, and it had 3 holes. It was a 3-hole muzzle brake, kind of like what you'd see on an AMD 65. I'm gonna show you a picture of an Emil dissipator. Okay. Okay. And that's what M16A1 style handguards on it.
You can see the lights in there.
Yeah. And that's pretty much what Emil had, except his had a different muzzle on it.
Xanadu also said he had a 50 or 100 round drum on the dissipator too, I thought. Yeah, I thought he did as well, yeah. I thought it was 100 rounds, right?
Yeah, it was 100 round. It's called a C-Mag. And it was a pretty easy to get, kind of a famous 100 round drum magazine that you could get back in the 90s that was notoriously unreliable. It was just a piece of shit. And you see it doing several malfunctions during the shootout. But he just clears the jams and keeps on going. Not really a good magazine. They make a lot better ones now. Really, you don't want anything more than on an AR-15, really. They have some 60 rounders out there. It looks like 2 30-round magazines together. I think it's a German company that makes it. And that's a lot more compact and a lot more reliable. You know what I mean? Not a big difference between 60 and 100. If you want a bunch of ammo, if you want a big capacity, you get that 60 rounder. A lot smaller.
Yeah.
That fucking 100 rounder was fucking ungainly, nasty, rattle, make a bunch of noise. Cheap plastic, you know. And it jammed. Matter of fact, I think that kid that dressed up like the Joker and shot up the inside of the fucking theater. Remember that douchebag?
Who was that? Was that Adam Lanza? Or
Adam,
was that...
I think that's what. No, Adam Lanza was one that shot up the little kids. At his mom's
There's so
school.
many, I can't.
That douchebag with the orange hair thought he was the Joker. Anyway, I think he had that same magazine. And it jammed while he was up there on stage, and I think they fucking jumped his ass during that jam. Yeah. Where he threw it down and started shooting with a pistol, something like that.
James Holmes.
Yeah, those names James Holmes?
I guess so.
Yeah, those big, large capacity magazines like that, they tend to suck. You can take that from me. I'm an ex-Army machine gunner, M60 and M249 and all that. Fucking, even belt-fed weapons, half the time they're shot to shit. They're not real reliable.
Well, you're just like trying to put all that shit through there. It's like too much, man. You gotta like fucking, you know.
Well, it's gone through so many hands by the time you've got it. How old is this thing? And a lot of fucking grimy ass, sandy fucking belts of ammunition have gone through it. Just chewed everything up. The feed paws on the top, the feed tray covers, and just everything's just kind of worn out. You know, belt-fed weapons are fucking finicky. And then anything large capacity magazine above 30 rounds tends to be pretty finicky, you know.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. So, well, like I said, I'm never sure when you're done talking because sometimes you stop talking and then I start talking and then you start talking. So
no, that's all I have to say.
All right. So these two assholes also had filled up a jar with gasoline, and I guess it was in the backseat. I guess what they were planning on doing was that if they got away or whatever, they were going to blow the car up and like to destroy evidence. I'm assuming that that's what they were doing. So Larry, as we mentioned earlier, they had made most of their own body armor. So Larry had about 40 pounds of equipment on, not just body armor, but other things too. He had a bulletproof vest. He had a groin guard. He had another like load-bearing vest with a bunch of like military canteen pouches for ammunition storage, and all the homemade body armor that he created from spare vests. And this was covering his shin, thighs, and forearms. So he was pretty much covered from like neck to ankle. His head was still, you know, he just had a fucking, ski mask on or whatever. So he didn't have any like shit on his head. But it kind of came where, yes, if somebody had got him in the head, and the cops did actually try to do that, but they were laying down so much fire that they couldn't really get a good shot at him.
Hold on, Prepper asked a good question. There's a Prepper's talking about, he wanted to know if there was a 3-pin modification on the dissipator to get full auto trigger parts in it. So I actually don't know. I know that he did that to the AK. The AKs he had them. He did a good job converting them. You can see it. There's a photograph of Emil's dissipator sitting there on the ground. I don't remember if there's enough detail if you could see the pins or not. He might have just, like you said, made a lightning link. They're easy to make. You can make one out of a coat hanger wire if you know what you're doing. You got to tune it right. There's another way to do it out of 2 pieces of sheet metal. Lightning links have been around forever. But as somebody that has a lot of experience with the AR platform, full auto is not the way to go. Delta Force really doesn't use it. Neither does SF. Good light semi-auto trigger like a KE Arms trigger with a real short fucking release on it. Something you can go tick, tick, tick. It's just a lot more control, a lot more accuracy. Full auto is really good in the movies, and it scares the shit out of people that aren't really used to it. You know, to kind of create havoc on people, but it's just a waste of fucking ammo, really.
I think that's what they were trying to do. Yeah. They were just trying to create chaos.
They were trying to create chaos.
Because they weren't aiming at people necessarily.
It's real intimidating to people who aren't used to being shot at by it, you know. But fuck, if you're in the Army for a long time, you're just being shot at by fucking full auto weapons firing blanks over and over. That sound over and over and over again. It's just so routine. Nobody gives a shit if you know. But the AR-15 and the AK-47 are best as carbines or rifles in semi-auto. That's really where your best troops who are effective, they're using them as semi-auto carbines, you know. They're fast shooters and accurate, but it's semi-auto. You don't need full auto. Full auto is kind of... Full auto is trying to compensate for fucking lack of training. And they're also trying to compensate for a shitty semi-auto trigger pull. You can't pull that hard trigger fast, and it's not very accurate. So you flip it over to full auto and just hold it down and let 4 or 5 of them out of there and hope that you hit. If you just put a good semi-auto trigger in there, you don't have to do that. You can just hit with the first round. But that's, you know.
That's, you know.
It's a military trigger is fucking real hard. That's why there's a full auto setting. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So like I said, Larry had, you know, body armor pretty much neck to ankle. However, Emil just had a bulletproof vest on. Although he did kind of augment it. He had like these metal plates, like trauma plates that he put kind of like over the heart and, you know, the gut area. So like in case he got hit there, you know, it wouldn't. But he didn't have anything on his legs or anything. So now this is where I was thinking that they got this idea from Heat, because both of them, they had a watch and they synchronized their watches just like all like master criminals do. And they sewed the watch onto their gloves. Yeah. Like, so they could, and I'm pretty sure they got that idea from Heat. Yeah. Right? I mean, I don't know.
I've only seen Heat once. I saw him laying there in a photograph of that damn watch sewn on the back of that leather military work glove, really. And I was like, man, they went through all the trouble to do that. And I was just kind of wondering why. But, you know, maybe they thought it was justified. I don't know. They might have had some kind of timing system.
They thought it was cool, I guess. Yeah. Maybe.
That was in the era. We used to do that kind of shit when we were in service in the 90s. It was in the era where you couldn't really get a wide variety of really good military or paramilitary equipment. So when we were in the Army, we were doing things like taking old BDU shirts and cutting the pockets off of them and sewing those pockets onto the shoulder areas of our field BDUs. You can see that in Predator 1. They have extra BDU pockets on there. It's because we were doing that. And we learned that. That was 80s. We learned that from the generation before us. Sewing extra pockets on things and making little fucking range card books out of glowing tape and fucking 100-mile-an-hour tape. And we made our own things. Take a dive flashlight and cover it in fucking rubber and fucking tape and tape that underneath an AR-15 or an M16. Big old dive light with an IR cover on it, you know. But now you can buy all that shit because there's a huge aftermarket. But we didn't have that back then. Yeah. So it was kind of like a sign of a professional if you could fabricate your own equipment, and we did it a lot. I mean, it's talking about during a time when Delta Force dudes fucking wore fucking hockey helmets and shit. A lot of people don't know that. Motherfucking Delta Force didn't wear K-pop, wore a hockey helmet.
Thank you, Maddie P3400. Sent us a super chat and said, "Can Tom be my life coach?"
No. I'm having a problem coaching my own life, dude.
Are you really?
Yeah, it seems like it.
It seems like it.
Seems like it.
Yeah, Xanadu was just talking about the 8-minute rule. Yeah, I was just about to get into that. So yeah, so they had all this stuff. They had the watches sewn on there. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they got that idea from Heat. I could be totally wrong about that, but that's what I thought. As I mentioned before, they took phenobarbital before. I guess Emil had a prescription for it. So they took that. They thought it would, like, you know, calm them down, or they, you know, keep them from getting sore while they were running around, like you said. So they pull up at the bank about 9:17 a.m. And at this point, they synchronize their watches, like I said, and they set their alarms for 8 minutes. They had an 8-minute rule. Because of prior research, I guess they had been monitoring police scanners and similar kind of crimes to what they were planning on doing. And they thought that it would take the police 8 minutes to respond, which to me seems like kind of a long time. You know what I mean? And indeed, that's how it ended up happening, because I'm like 8 minutes. I'm pretty sure they'd get there before 8 minutes. But that's, for whatever reason, that's what they thought. We're going to be in and out in 8 minutes before then the cops won't even get here. So that's what they thought. So, but the two of them in all of their fucking gear, right? It's not like they were trying to be like inconspicuous or anything. They had all their body armor on, they had ski masks on, they had everything. They walk into the bank at 9:17 in the morning. They had been parked there like prior to the bank opening, and then just like only a few minutes after it opened, they walked in. And as soon as they walked in, there happened to be two LAPD cops that were driving down Laurel Canyon Road in a patrol car and saw them. and were like, hey, looks like some motherfuckers about to rob a bank. And so they called it in. So yeah, 8 minutes, not so much, because they got seen pretty much the minute they walked in the door. So, you know. So, yeah, robbery in progress. They called that in. Now, Larry and Emil walk into the bank, and there was like somebody that was using the ATM near the entrance. I guess it was one of those, like, because, you know, Bank of America has the ATM like on the front. And I guess it was somebody that was using that. And so they forced that person to go into the bank and then made them lay on the floor. Now, at this point, there's a security guard inside the bank, like most banks have. And he saw the kind of, you know, little scuffle out there where they were forcing this person inside the bank. So the security guard also radioed to his partner who was sitting out in a car out in the parking lot. And they also called the police. So like I said, you know, I don't know, this 8 minutes thing, you know, is off. That's a wildly, I mean, it's LA for fuck's sake. And you're walking into a bank with weapons and body armor and everything. Like, you think no one's going to see you? It's like the daytime and people are like walking past.
I think part of the tactic was just to be so menacing and so intimidating that people would just be stunned and be afraid to respond, which I think it worked.
Well, for
a
little while.
These dudes were huge.
Yeah.
They were fucking big. Big fucking dudes on roid rage, fucking full body armor. They took a bunch of ballistic vests. I think it was just rated against pistol ammo. Cut them up and made shin guards and thigh guards.
Well, Larry did. Emil didn't have that. He just had
the
vest with like trauma plates inside
trauma
it.
plates. They had all that shit taped up in there, you know. So they were at least Larry was impervious. He'd been shot a shit ton of times and not hurt.
Yeah. I mean, I think what was it? I think did he end up getting shot? Like one of them was shot like 29 times.
Well, he got shot in the hand, and then he shot himself.
Yeah.
Emil got shot to pieces through the legs.
Through his legs,
but
yeah.
They were shooting at him underneath the car.
Yeah.
Because he was hiding on the other side of the car. They were shooting underneath it. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. They'd run in and just go, get out, start fucking, get out, everybody. And they were real rude to everybody, grabbing
this
dudes.
Is a fucking
come here, little man. And they were big into calling people faggots and stuff like that. And they were big into intimidating people. And it's just this big motherfucker in full body armor with full auto weapons. And if you didn't have the money, he'd shoot the money in front of you. They weren't afraid of shooting in front of people. They'd
well, basically, as soon as they walked in,
they were shooting as soon as
they were shooting into the ceiling,
right.
Like automatic, fire into the ceiling.
Yeah, which their thinking is they were going to go in there like gangbusters and just intimidate the fuck out of people.
Well, I'm pretty sure the bank robberies they'd done before, this is how they had done it, and it was
right.
like I said, an intimidation tactic. Because everyone, I mean, nobody wants to get shot, right? So they're just kind of like, okay, whatever, take the fucking money.
The witnesses said that fucking, you know, like that one dude that he grabbed, he goes, where's the money, you know, and they just said he was just seething with anger. It was like just seething with fucking rage and anger. He was worried. And when he saw that wasn't a lot of money, he just took the AK and just fucking unloaded a magazine into the fucking money.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that.
And they were just terrified, you know what I mean, that they would shoot you in a heartbeat. And that's the way these guys wanted it. Because if you can keep a crowd of people just totally terrified, chances are you're not going to have to kill any of them. That's their thinking.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they're... I'm not saying that's, you know, good. I'm not saying that, like, that was, like...
It's just a tactic.
Yeah, but that was the tactic that they used.
Yeah.
They didn't really go in planning to kill anybody. I don't think they would have necessarily cared if they killed anybody, but...
Yeah. They were just trying to minimize it. They
were trying to minimize, yeah. They just went in there and they just, like, were going in big, like, for intimidation. I think inside the bank... There were about 30 people, and that includes the people that worked there and the customers as well.
They went in there and they wanted you to just roll over immediately. And according to some of the sources that I heard, everything kind of had a sexual tone to it. You know, you're a bitch, roll over, fucking homos, you faggots, blah 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 blah. Just anything to get you to submit to their fucking ultra masculine dominant power. You a hoe. That was the thing. You know, I don't care who you are, dude. Compared to me, you're a hoe. And that was their whole attitude. And evidently, that's how they spoke to the cops when they were exchanging fire.
Yeah.
It's psychological. Yeah. Psychological warfare.
Yeah. So they get everybody to kind of lay down on the floor, right? And then they, Larry he shoots open, the bulletproof. There's like a door, you know what I mean? Like where the tellers are. So he shoots that open because it's bulletproof, but not for the rounds that they had. It's only like a little bit bulletproof.
Well, pistols and rifles, there's a big difference in the energy. They're carrying intermediate rifle rounds in assault rifles. 16-inch barrel minimum stuff. You need a different grade of armor to protect against that.
Yeah.
Pistols are easy to protect against. There's not nearly as much energy in a pistol round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what. So they shot through that. Like I said, the door that went back to where the tellers were and where the vault was. So then they find John Villagrana, who was the assistant manager, and they force him to open up the vault. So he opens the vault because he didn't want to get shot, obviously, and he starts filling up their bag. But I guess the robbers, they thought that they were going to get $750,000 from this heist. That's what they were planning on. However, what they didn't count on was that I guess the bank's delivery schedule had changed, which the robbers did not know. And they actually hadn't gotten their delivery of cash yet that day. And I'm not even sure if it was coming that day. So there wasn't as much money in the vault as they were expecting. And this made them very, very angry.
Okay, now, Gramthars Hammer, veteran police officer, says 99% of the people will just shit their pants and freeze if a guy's walk into a bank carrying ARs and wearing masks. Yeah, that's my experience also. And there's plenty of videos with that. The more intimidating the guys are, the more menacing and professional they look, the faster people submit to them. That's just the way it is. Very hard to be a bad motherfucker in front of fucking two huge motherfuckers just loaded for
Well,
barrel.
like I said, you don't want to get shot because obviously it really seemed like this.
And these dudes looked like they hated you and they were
Yeah.
seething with fucking hatred.
And I feel like if somebody had tried to be a hero and run at them, they probably would have. They probably would have shot them.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we're saying that it seemed like they were trying to just do intimidation and they weren't aiming at anybody specifically. They were just aiming at the ceiling.
It was just a warning.
If somebody had tried to
they'd have killed you.
Resist against them, I think they would have killed. I don't really think they cared all that much. So like I said, they thought they were going to get $750,000 from this. But that was not the case because the delivery schedule was different than what they had anticipated. So there wasn't as much in the vault. So Larry got super fucking aggro about this news. And then he fired a full drum magazine, 75 rounds, into the bank safe.
Yeah.
And destroyed most of what was left of the money.
I missed that detail.
What he got, what they got, I think they ended up just getting a little over $300,000. Which holy shit, man! I could live the rest of my fucking life on $300,000. But okay.
No, you could.
But it wasn't. Well, I'm just saying.
I'd help you spend that real quick.
No, you wouldn't. I would hide that from you because you'd be like, "Hey, let's buy this. Hey, let's buy." No, I'm keeping it.
Hold on.
I'm keeping it. Oh shit! Oh, it's wig time.
It's wig time.
It's wig time.
Going level 1.
I didn't feel like doing a wig today because I was like, I recorded some shit earlier and so I didn't want to wear a wig because it's a whole thing. If I wear a wig, you have to wear a wig cap because I have hair. He does not.
I'm gonna put my fucking
holy shit, really?
Sexual dinosaur goggles on. Now I'm Carrot Top. I'm now a sexual dinosaur.
Oh my god.
That was see, there's a sexual tyrannosaurus out there, but then there's also just sexual dinosaurs. It's just a throwback to another era.
Can I be a sexual stegosaurus?
You can be whatever you want to be. But
okay, awesome.
that was something I hadn't picked up on, that it was a 75 round drum. The witness just said he just unloaded the magazine.
Into the vault.
75 round drum.
And shot all the cash up and destroyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was a 30 rounder.
Because he was mad.
Yeah. Prepper knows what you're talking about. That's a 75 round RPK magazine coming out of China. That was a good magazine. Very reliable. That was from the RPK squad automatic weapon. It'll go into an AK. Yeah. Okay.
But so the fact that, so like I said, they weren't, some of the shit, they seemed like they had some plans and whatnot. But then it just seemed like they got mad and they just lost control of the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Didn't go according to plan.
It didn't go the way they thought it was going to go, and they didn't have a plan B, obviously.
Yeah. Those roids were fucking with them too.
Yeah.
That roid
Big
rage.
time.
Yeah.
But see, like I said, if you're going to do shit like this, you got to have your shit together. Have a plan B, have a plan C, and a plan D. I mean, that's what I would do. But no. They were just kind of like, yeah, we don't have like $750,000 in there. We only have 300,000. And he was like, fuck that. And he
Lost
just like
his
fucking
shit.
Unloaded and he lost it.
Kind of like that wasn't money.
That's what I mean. It's like fucking, but yes, $300,000 isn't as good as $750,000, obviously.
But that's
but
almost
it's
half
still
of it.
$300,000.
That's almost
Holy
half
shit.
of it. Yeah.
Just take it and go.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you can do another one later.
He was that Trenbolone sandwich was fucking him up. He was Trenbolone.
Yeah,
I
Xanadu
would
said
like
they
to
didn't even have a driver, right?
Yeah. I would like to see exactly what steroids it was that they were on. But there's definitely some hormonal imbalance going on. The whole seething with fucking hatred and anger and having to take downers and relaxants to do it. And they were fucking loaded. And then they were amped up just because of the situation.
Yeah, because
So
like
it's all
I said,
happening
if
at
they
once.
hadn't done that, they might have got away with the shit. But they just, maybe not, because like I said, the cops came much earlier than they were anticipating. But if they hadn't just like lost their shit and said, hey, I'm going to shoot up all the money, it's like, just take the money and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like...
These two dudes just on that male PMS, dinosaur PMS. They're on that dinosaur PMS.
I guess so.
Yeah. Ah! There's not enough money. Ah!
Somebody please make a GIF out of that moment.
Ah! Yeah. My muscles, they're locking up on me. I need a massage.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Dudes are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dudes are ridiculous. We got into that like a little bit on the sidetrack show.
These bitches didn't have the money. I'm fucking losing it.
You guys are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love it.
And his buddy should have said, dude, that's half of it though. Fuck half. You know.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. This is the point where it went off the rails.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, obviously it went off the rails when they first decided to do it in the first place, but this was definitely the place where it went off the rails. So he has like over $300,000. I think it was $303,000 or something like that. So he has that in his fucking bag. Not enough. So he shoots up all the rest of the money in the vault, which was, I guess, was just a little penny ante shit. And then he decides that he's going to try and get into the ATM. So he says to the branch manager, he's like, hey, I need to get into the ATM. But the branch manager, he said, yeah, I can't get that because Bank of America changed their policies. I used to be able to get in there, but now I can't. So, obviously. So, basically, Larry is just, like, denied. And so he locks everybody that was in the bank. He locks them all in the vault. And not only that, this is like a wah-wah moment. Not only did he get $303,000, but somebody also put a fucking die pack in there.
Yeah, got his ass. Yeah.
So the fucking shit blew up and they couldn't use it anyway. Even if they had gotten away, but they didn't. So it's like, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so somebody got to put some die packs in there. And that exploded. So like I said, the picture that I posted on Instagram was like a bundle of the money that was kind of fucked up and it had like red dye all over it. Yeah, that's what happened. So they wouldn't have been able to use it anyway. So, good job. Good job.
Xanadu said he saw one guy describe it as them going to war with Los Angeles. Yeah.
I guess so.
That's what it looked like.
They kind of lost, though, I have to say. You know?
Yeah. Well, and then Xanadu goes, what was their actual problem, though? They had hate in them, it seemed like. They just wanted to shoot at. It was hormones, man. It was a lot of shit. They wanted money. They were on all those fucking roids. They were pissed off. They were trying to be as intimidating as possible. They were kind of spooked also. You would say that, you know what I mean? Because they're doing a robbery. So they're reacting to it with a bunch of fucking anxiety, which ends up being hatred, especially when the cops show up. They evidently hated the government of California, and they hated fucking the LAPD. Most people say that they hated the LAPD.
Yeah, Xanadu said there was definitely a hormone factor.
Yeah.
Testosterone, it's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
And all the other shit they were taking.
It was all that other shit, too. Steroids are modified, improved testosterone. They'll do shit to your mind that testosterone won't even dream of. Most people fucking can control it, though. What is it? What you do? Oh, yeah.
It's just like sticking up and it's like cracking up. Because I see it in the monitor.
Yeah.
I'm just like laughing.
Somebody said something that shit was fucking funny.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All right, fucking Danny says, "Hey Tom, if they were wearing steel-toed boots with bullets that penetrate, yes, dude, yes. Pistol rounds go right through steel. At most of these at combat ranges, pistol round will go through something like a steel-toed boot. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, like I said, when all the shit's going on in the bank, like I said, the cops they had called it in, but it takes like a couple minutes for the backups to get there. So the first responding officers, they were there, but they heard gunfire from inside the bank. Then what?
Captain Blairdo said some shit that's fucking funny as fuck. He says, "Watch out for a sexual Cambrian explosion." I had to fucking mention that. Watch out for a sexual Cambrian explosion. I'm gonna have to remember that. That's sexual dinosaurs.
That's pretty good.
Sexual dinosaurs.
That's pretty good. Although dinosaurs run around in the camera.
I know, but it doesn't matter.
But it's still funny though.
Yeah.
I'm Will actually people.
Well, actually.
Yeah. I don't want to be that guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that guy. But yeah, so they hear all the gunfire, so they call in for additional units, and then they jump behind their patrol cars, to take cover like they normally would. And they, train the weapons on the bank doors, like I said, as they usually would. Oh, it's Pookie.
Yeah.
Pookie has come in. I wondered where you were. You've been sleeping all day. She's jumping up on the fucking chair. All right, so the bank robbers are still inside the bank at this point. Shooting up. Please don't jump up on the. She looks like she's trying to do it. She tried to jump up earlier and she landed right on the mouse pad and she went blah 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 and then she like fucking came right off the desk. Didn't you, Pookie? I didn't laugh at you though, because that would be mean. I know how you do. So more patrols, more detective units showed up, and they basically like surrounded the bank. So they had like cops at all four corners. And this is only like a few minutes later. I think it's 9:24 a.m. at this point. So 9:24 a.m., which like I said, I think so they got there at 9:17, and that was like 3. So this is 7 minutes. It's still inside their 8-minute window. Obviously, they didn't plan for this. So Larry comes out through one of the doorways, and he sees a cop car about 200 feet away and started shooting at it. Now, at this point, he wounds 7 officers and 3 civilians. Like I said, nobody, like spoiler alert, nobody got killed except for the robbers. But a lot of people got shot up, or he kind of fucked with some people inside the bank, like fucking whacked him with, the gun butts and shit like that. But nobody died, like the cops didn't die. So he opens fire at the cars and and civilians. He, at this point, also fires at the police helicopter, which was flying overhead, and it had to kind of back off a little bit. Then he goes back inside for a couple of minutes, and then he comes back out, and then Emil goes out the other exit, like on the other side of the building. So both of them come out like opposite sides of the building. Now, at this point is probably where like the main shootout starts to happen.
Yeah, it's also where the whole thing becomes a clusterfuck and starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the two guys stopped communicating with each other. And I don't understand what kind of cockamamie plan they put together to get out of this place. But the tactics that they used were just fucked up. Like, I'm going to walk alongside the car and lay down fire while the car gets away somehow. I'm not going to get into the car until the car's shot up. That didn't make any sense to me. There was just all kinds of weird shit that they were doing, and that car was shot up anyway. Then they tried to steal a couple of cars, and that didn't work out. And then they separated for some ungodly reason. Why the hell would they separate? You go that way, I'll go this way. We'll fucking bring him. No, dude. Once a helicopter sees you, it's over. You can't run from a helicopter.
I mean, there had to be some point where they knew that they weren't going to get out of there.
Helicopter ever gets on your ass, really the only thing you can do is just go Battle of Stalingrad, which is get down, open a manhole cover, and get down into the sewer. That's really the only way. You get down to that sewer system. Not many men brave enough to get down into the sewer system. But if you get down to the sewer
It's like they'll
system,
shoot us some cops, but it's like I'm not wading through shit, motherfucker.
well, it's pitch dark.
Well, that too.
And
but you see, they should have, like I said, had a plan B or plan C. You would have had like flashlights and all kind of shit, gas mask for that eventuality. But no, they did not do that.
And the subterranean system opens up into big things. There's grates. There's places where you'll have to submerge yourself and be in deep water. You don't really know where you're going, and you can't go into that situation blind. You have to go into that knowing how your sewer system is built and what it all looks like in there, and what's the general layout and the plan of the place, and whether or not a human can traverse it. But really, the only way to disappear in a city if a helicopter's on your ass is to get in the subway, is to get into the sewer.
The sewer.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, that
whole wars were fought in sewers. It's possible. And the cops will not follow you down into a sewer. They're not trained or equipped for it. It's too much. Because what are they going to do? Go in that sewer? For all they know, you're sitting there in the darkness just with the rifle sights trained right on them, waiting for them to come down.
Yeah, because they don't want their people to get killed either. Yeah. So it's kind of like,
they'll wait you out.
Right.
And then they'll say, well, we lost him. He'll reemerge later. We'll catch him again. But they might send some SWAT team guys and some lights and shit. But by then you'd be long gone. But they would assume that you went into the darkness and stayed right there near the entrance and would be waiting for them, because that would be the easiest thing to do. Because what kind of guys has the balls to just go into the damn unknown, into the total darkness of a sewer
You might
system?
get eaten by sewer alligators. You don't know.
Well, the water could be over your head.
That too.
Okay, you got a pipe, and there might be that much air in the top of it. And you're down there going through the pipe, just trying to suck air out of the top, and then it's getting shallower and shallower and shallower. Then you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll just swim off into the darkness of this pipe and hope that it opens up. No, it might be a half a mile. Okay, so
you really have to want to get away.
You have to really want to get away. Yeah.
And like I said, you have to have kind of planned for that eventuality, which it seems like these dudes didn't.
They didn't plan for anything like that. No.
But I mean, I don't know. I just kind of feel like if you're gonna do something of this magnitude, you should have a couple of alternate plans. I'm just saying. I mean, I would think it's like, hey, if this goes sideways, let's do this other thing. If you're gonna spend months planning this shit, might as well. So, yeah. So, at this point, Larry and Emil are starting shooting at the cops and shooting into the cop cars that were in front of the bank. Now, at this point, the cops, they have standard, cop shit. They have their Berettas, they have their Smith & Wessons, they have their 12-gauge shotguns, and they started shooting back at them, but even if they hit the dudes, it wasn't really penetrating the body armor, because, like I said, not only, did they not have as much firepower, but they also were kind of far away.
Yeah, this is, during this phase, is the one where Emil or Emil, depending on however you want to say his name, I've heard it pronounced both ways, was running around back and forth, returning kind of like a suppressive fire back on the LAPD. And most of the witnesses say he was saying, "Get your heads down, stop looking at me, don't you look at me, don't you look at me, don't look at me." Yeah. And then
that sounds real stable, doesn't it?
"Don't look at me, get your head down, what are you looking at, don't look at me," and he's shooting at him. And then he got shot one time in the back by a policeman with a 9mm, but his armor absorbed it, and he turned around and called him all kinds of faggots and started shoot him, and I think he hit that guy, but he was able to make it out of there. If he zeroed in on you, he was going to call you a faggot, according to the witnesses. That was his big thing. "You fucking faggot." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was his deal. He was into
Which,
that.
like I said, I don't know why anybody would be bothered by that, but okay.
That was his sexual intimidation thing,
All right, whatever.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do. That was just his personality, He was mad. He was mad and fucking just,
Mad and also kind of stupid, also.
Well, all them damn steroids, and he just fucking hated cops. They hated the LAPD. People that knew him said they just hated the cops. But
well, they're getting in the way of all our bank robberies, goddamn.
But it was evidently focused in not just cops in general. It was the LAPD. They hated the LAPD.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the LAPD either. Like, I don't think
Damn.
anybody is, but this is kind of like a whole other level of hatred against the LAPD. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like Xanadu said. The witnesses said it was like they went to war with L.A.
Yeah.
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 Which that matches up with people that knew him said that they were kind of like they just hated that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know. So at this point, like I said, they're still like they're trading gunfire. Like the cops are kind of like realizing that they're outgunned, I suppose. And as I said, this whole shootout lasted what about 44 or 45 minutes. So about 10-15 minutes into the shit, a cop comes over the radio and says that the other officers don't stop. Like if they get in the getaway vehicle, don't stop them because they've got automatic weapons. And they'll just, like, fucking tear you to shreds. So, like, don't attempt to engage them, you know, in that way. Now, at this point, too, a bunch of officers had been pinned down because the dudes were just kind of, like, just spraying fucking bullets everywhere. And, you know. So the cops were kind of trying to get a headshot on some of the dudes, but they couldn't really do it just because, you know, there was so much fucking automatic gunfire coming from everywhere. At this point, a bunch of cops got the idea. I guess it was a gun store, just like a block or two away. So they all ran over there and they're like, hey, can we borrow some of your shit? Thanks. So they actually borrowed, I think it was 5 AR-15s from a gun store. And the gun store was like, yeah, man, just take it. Whatever.
Listen to Gramthars fucking comment, the ex-cop.
Where?
In the comment section.
I can't see it. Maybe I'm behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheila Ann said, I remember the cops going to the gun store. That's, like, so fucking funny to me. Because they had called SWAT by this point, I'm pretty sure. But SWAT wasn't going to get there yet. Because SWAT team had all the shit that the shooters had. But the cops just didn't have that stuff. So they were kind of like, well, just to hold us off, we're going to run down to this fucking gun store. And they got, like, a bunch of AR-15s so they can fucking fight it. It's just, like, really funny. So, like I said, the guy at the gun store was just kind of like, yeah, man, just take the shit, whatever. So at this point, so there's 2 locations which were kind of, you know, on the north parking lot. And this is where most of the officers were taking cover. Now, at this point, they think that Larry got shot. Either Larry, his person, or the rifle that he was holding got shot with a handgun. Now, Larry, I guess, he was still, like, shooting at everybody. And he was kind of... taking cover near there were like some cars, there were like 4 cars like parked near the north wall of the bank, so he was kind of trying to take cover over there, but the cops were shooting at him. They're pretty sure they hit him at this point, and or they hit his gun. Right now there was also I don't know, so one of the locations was a Del Taco which was only about 350 feet from where Larry was. And so there was a bunch of cops like taking cover over there. So at this point, one of the officers, Officer Zelensky, I think his name was, he was shooting at Larry from the Del Taco, right? And he thinks that he hit him at least one time. He either hit his person or he hit the gun. They're not really sure. So the other location where some of the officers there was a house at 6641 Agnes Avenue, and a bunch of the cops were kind of in the backyard there, and I think there was like a cinder block wall, and they were kind of like shooting at him from behind that. And at that point, I think from that vantage point too, I think they might have hit Larry as well. Like I said, there was so much gunfire going on, there was so much chaos that they weren't really sure like who got shot when. You know what I'm saying? Like where the shit came from. Because there was just like so much shit going on. So at this point, there was a detective, Detective Bancroft. He was shooting at Larry, and there was another detective named Detective Harley who was also shooting at him. They were only about 50 feet away from him. Now at this point, Emil, he backs their car, which was a Chevy Celebrity. They had parked in a handicap space because they weren't big enough assholes. It's like, yeah, we're also going to park.
This shit.
They're going to also park in the handicap spot because they just had to like put the cherry on top of the dickishness. We'll just park in the handicap spot. So they had parked in the handicap spot because it's closer. We're going to rob the shit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not worried about that ticket.
I guess not. Yeah, Prepper's laughing. So I laughed at that too. I know it's fucked up, but I laughed at it also. So he backs the car out of the handicap space. They had parked in the north parking lot. And at this point, while he was doing that, Larry got shot in the left wrist. Now, they're pretty sure that that's where he got shot because, like, the helicopter got the footage of it. Like you said, you saw that. And I saw it as well. And he looked like he was just like, oh, shit, like he got fucking shot. You know what I mean? They saw him, like, react to it. He
was shooting an AK. The AK had a drum on it. He was having a problem engaging some guys. For some reason, he just threw the AK.
I think it jammed.
Yeah, but I don't know why
he couldn't clear it.
He couldn't clear it, I guess.
Well, that's what, like, I was watching the documentary. And that's what the documentary, the cop said, those are, like, very easy to clear. Yeah. We don't really know why he couldn't figure it out.
I think they were panicking.
Yeah, probably. Right.
Just threw the AK, and it wasn't empty. He hadn't emptied that whole drum.
Yeah.
Pulled out a pistol, and he's engaging some guys across the street. He's ducking behind cover.
Said it was a stovepipe jam. That's what it was. And
easy
it's
to clear.
Very common, yeah.
I saw the shit happen. I saw the picture of the damn weapon laying there. I was like, why didn't you just clear that? They don't have formalized training. That's part of the deal. They're not ex-soldiers or anything.
That was their first problem.
They did train on the range and they did stuff, but you're not talking about soldiers. Okay, this is pure balls, adrenaline, and steroids, and willpower. Not so much, fucking professional finesse. Professional finesse, they never would have done a mission like this. This is a wild-ass mission. Somebody hasn't really thought it through or thought any contingencies, okay? Armed takeover robberies are high risk. They're not profitable in the long run. You eventually go get caught or killed. That's not how you want... If you're going to steal money, that's not how you do it. You want to take less risk, something that you can do over a long period of time, like some kind of real estate scam. If you're fucking smart, you know what I mean?
Which is what Larry was doing to start with, so why didn't he just stick with that?
Yeah.
Much less chance of you getting your face shot off.
Yeah, and if you get caught, the chances of you doing a really hard time over there are a lot less.
Yeah, because it's not violent crime.
You can go under fucking white-collar crime.
Like I said, just be like a computer hacker or something like that if you got to do some shit like
Somebody
that.
who's not a fucking physical threat to other people. They're not going to fucking really treat you the same way. You run around shooting a fucking place up, fighting the fucking cops, they're going to kill you.
Well, yeah.
Okay, that's what happened.
And probably rightfully so.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're just a fucking menace to society.
Yeah.
Society at large. You can kill people just by accident. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing that amazes me about this shit, that no one was killed by accident because there was so much fucking automatic fire going everywhere, like in all directions. And there were houses. If you see like the maps, there's houses and other businesses and shit like all around there.
Yeah. So I see him from the helicopter shot. He fucking dumps the AK, which is a good weapon, all right, and takes it and pulls out looks like a 9mm semi-auto pistol, which is a terrible weapon. Yeah, that's a huge step down. Civilians that don't have any experience, the difference between a military-style fighting rifle and a military-style fighting pistol are vast. It's a huge step down. Pistols are not to be used in combat. They'll be used usually to get yourself out of combat. You're shooting in one direction and running in another, and you're running for a rifle or you're running for fucking cover to get away from a dude. It's not a real weapon. It's a temporary emergency tool to get yourself out of a jam. So I'm going to throw the good weapon away and use this little fucking pistol to back myself up against an army of cops with pistols. So you're going to throw away your advantage? It just didn't make any fucking sense.
I think he just freaked out because he couldn't get... I mean, like I said, it was a stovepipe jam, which is a pretty common jam, and it's very easy to clear. Yeah. But I guess he was, like, freaking out and panicking, and he wasn't really thinking about it. So he's just like, fuck it, and he just threw it.
Yeah, just threw the shit down like a douche, and he's standing there fucking ducking behind, looks like a palm tree, and using a little bit of cover, trying to gauge a guy. Looked like he's about 20 meters away on the other side of the street. And he gets shot from another angle. Boom, blows his fucking... Hits him in the hand. The pistol kind of, you can see it move. It evidently removed a part of his thumb or his thumb. And he looks at it a couple times for a few seconds, and it looks like he looked down the barrel and pulled the trigger and just shot himself right through the head. That's what it looked like to me at the time. Maybe he did put it underneath his chin and pull the trigger. It's hard to tell.
It's kind of hard to tell.
It's real low res.
Really,
it's a real low res, and it's a helicopter, and the angle is not really perfect to see what's going on. Through his motions, his body movement, it wasn't like a moment of gravitas. it felt like just a
See,
fluid.
that's what I was thinking, because
Notice
I was
that?
thinking, like, if he was going to actually shoot himself, you'd think he'd be like,
bracing up for it.
I'm going to get you, motherfucker, bam! And it's
no.
like, you're not going to take me alive. But it wasn't like that.
No.
It was almost kind of like he was in
looked
the middle
klutzy.
of some shit. Yeah.
It looked like a
did look
klutzy
klutzy.
accident to me. I think that's what it. I think he was so spooked, and he had been shot in the hand, and he was being overwhelmed by all this incoming fire coming from all these different directions. I got a real weird feeling that he looked down the barrel and pulled the trigger to make sure the gun was
I
working.
kind of feel like
that's
that's
what I think
probably what
happened.
happened too. I don't think he did it on purpose.
The bullet hit his thumb, and I think it hit the slide of the pistol, and I think he saw some kind of superficial damage, and did something like a child would do. Look down and fucking. And does this work? Yeah, it worked.
Like I said,
it
that's some
blew your
wily
fucking
code.
head
That's
off.
some wily code.
That's what I think happened.
Hey, it worked. Ah,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Is this thing working?
It was that.
Yeah.
Don't do that, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So basically, the same time that he gets shot in the wrist, the cops, again, shooting at him, they also shot the rifle that he was firing, and it broke it. Like, he couldn't fire it anymore. So, all right. So at this point, there is the LAPD calls in another officer down call. Like I said, cops are getting shot. Nobody died, thankfully, but a lot of officers did get injured during this shit. Amazingly, nobody got killed. So at this point, the SWAT team shows up. And this is about 18 minutes after the shooting had started, because they had called them earlier. Now, the SWAT team had AR-15s. The funny thing was that they had been on a run, like, when they got called. So they all had, like, their little jogging shorts and shit on, but they had like the armor over it. So they all came, to do the shit. And so at this point, they come in, and they knew that there were some officers down, and there was one in particular that was really, really injured, that was, like, hiding behind a tree, and he was, like, dying, like, for real. Like, he had been shot in, like, a major artery in the leg, and he was, like, bleeding out, and he was going unconscious, and they couldn't get to him because of all the fire. So basically, when the SWAT team got there, they happened to be an armored truck going by, and they commandeered the armored truck, from the guy, because they called into the company, whatever, I don't know if it was Brinks or whoever it was, and they called in and said, hey, we need this to come in and, like, pick up everybody that's been injured. So that's basically what they did. They had to extract, because there had been, like, civilians and shit like that had been wounded also. So they took this armored truck, like, through the shit and picked up all the people that were wounded. Now, at this point, Emil had been shot 3 times. Now, he'd been shot in the right side of his butt. He'd also been shot in the right leg. And he'd been shot in the left forearm. Now, what?
See, I didn't really realize that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of... And that was unarmored.
Yeah, Emil only had the vest.
Okay.
Which was augmented,
All right.
but he didn't have the shit. Like, Larry had all the shit with, like, arms, legs, shin guards, everything. Emil didn't have that. I think all he had was the vest and, like, a cup or something.
A lot of times what happens, if you ever go through a good live fire range, even if it's a fucking, like, blank fire range where you're fighting with a bunch of other dudes in the military, all that running around, especially if you're weighted down, you get very hot and sweaty. You add a couple of fucking bullet wounds to that, even in non-vital areas, that'll really sap your willpower away. I would imagine that between all this fighting, those fucking weird mental states that fucking steroids have put you into, all this fucking stress, the weight, the heat, and all these guys shooting at you and you being shot a couple times, I kind of think maybe your will to live starts to get... You definitely can't think too straight, and you're probably dumb to begin with. Then your will to fucking your will to kind of fucking continue can kind of wear down.
Well, I kind of feel, I get the impression that these two, like I said, they had done it. This wasn't their first rodeo. They'd done this a couple times. They had done armored cars. They had done a couple banks. And I'm assuming, like, it had gone off without much of a hitch prior. Yeah. So I kind of feel like they thought that was going to happen this time. And even though they were prepared for a big response, I don't think you can ever really be prepared for that if you've never had it happen to you before.
All this getting shot and shooting at guys and then losing cars and trying to hijack a couple of cars and lugging that armor around and that bags of fucking money that already have dye on them and all that shit. I'd imagine you're fucking hating life by that point. You're like, oh, fuck this. Fuck. Oh. I imagine you're fucking seeing red. And just ready to give up at any moment.
Yeah.
Because they went down fighting, but maybe that dude did just say, fuck it, I'm out of here. Fucking blew his head off.
Maybe. But like I said, it's hard to tell.
The body language, it happened so fast, it looked accidental, actually, to me.
And like I said, even the cops didn't know. Because they thought we couldn't really tell if he did it on purpose or not.
Right.
But yeah, so Emil had been shot 3 times at this point. And at this point... He had the duffel bag full of money, $300,000, $303,000.
But it was marked at this point.
And the dye packet exploded, so it was useless. So he threw it away. He gets in their car, their getaway car, and starts it up. At this point, Larry comes around to the car, and I guess they had the HK-91 was in the trunk, which was open. So he got that out of the trunk, and he started firing at the officers and walking alongside the car.
Yeah.
Using the car for cover.
Yeah, this didn't make any sense to me when I was seeing this.
It looks really weird on the video, I have to say.
Cars are not cover, okay? Even 9mm will go through that. It's just a series of sheet metal, pieces of sheet metal. 9 will go right through that. Why didn't he just get in the damn car and shoot the back window out, shoot the cops?
I'm not really entirely
It didn't make any
sure.
sense to me.
I'm not entirely
He was trying to walk along the side of the car like he's the presidential escort and shit. Shooting back at the cops, stay away from my car, I'm protecting this shit. Ow, you can't hurt me. They were shooting him and shit. It didn't make any sense to me.
No, it didn't. It was crazy looking.
You should have jumped in the back, shot the back window out, and fucking started returning fire.
See, Tom's got all kind of tips for bank robbers out there.
Well,
don't do this shit.
No, it's military stuff. That's what we would have done in the military.
I know. I'm just.
It's all about the same.
I'm just making a joke.
Which is very different from law enforcement. Law enforcement's trying to, prevent civilian casualties. They're trying to make arrests. They're worried about fucking adhering to laws and regulations. The military isn't like that. You don't give a shit about civilians. You're in enemy territory. You don't give a shit about their laws. You're not in your country. You're trying to put maximum fucking damage and terror on the opponent. And you're trying to minimize your own risk at the same time, So I just got in the damn car, shot out the back,
Yeah, you would think. I mean, that would be the smart thing. Why would you walk alongside the car? Just get in the fucking car. Get the fuck out of there.
You could go totally Mexican cartel and just start fucking nailing civilians, too. And just say, you follow me, I'll kill more civilians. Because that works in Mexico City. They got proof of that. They arrested one of those cartel agents, so fucking the cartel just randomly went out and just started shooting people. And then they called the news and they said, release him or we're just going to kill all these people. And the president said, okay, release him. Because they will.
Wait, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, they'll kill 4, 5, 600,000 people. They're just endless people. So.
Yeah, Brad made the point that Heat came out in 1995. And I'm pretty sure that the bank robbers got a lot of ideas from that.
Yeah.
See, that's what I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was pretty sure.
And it's just that one scene. And then the armored car scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the thing is, those dudes were mostly fucking ex-military doing that in the movie.
Yeah, these guys not so much.
These guys weren't. All right.
They were just, they were kind of maybe high on their own supply kind of thing. They kind of thought they were smarter than they were. Yeah. Which is always dangerous.
And this is much ado about nothing. There's other ways to make money. There's other ways to steal money with a lot less risk.
Yeah, this really seems like the not a really good way to go about it.
Hollywood-inspired flamboyancy.
Well, there's a certain type of dude. There's a certain type of personality in a dude. And it's like they can't just...
They can't take the easier path.
Yeah, they can't just be like, well, I'm going to do illegal shit anyway, so it's like, I'm going to steal this money because I just want money. But they also have to have...
Center of attention.
They also have to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
It's like some weird kind of like narcissism kind of thing. And those kind of dudes usually end up getting killed. But unfortunately, they usually take some people with them. Thankfully, these people did not.
Except for that one guy that possibly...
Yeah, well, they did kill... Yeah, like not on this job, but they had like allegedly killed someone else prior, like on a previous job. But I'm still amazed that nobody got killed on this shit because it's like fucking amazing. Yeah. So he's walking alongside the car, right? Now, at this point, so he's coming up to, he's walking alongside the car, and then one of the cops' rounds hit him in the shoulder, and then his rifle got hit again in the receiver and the magazine. Now, he's only one-armed at this point, Larry is. So he's trying to, like, shoot with one arm, and then he just throws the HK-91 away, and then he gets the other one, which is the Norinco, the Type 56.
Yeah, it's another AK.
Yeah, and then he goes out of the parking lot, and then he goes onto the street, and then Emil keeps driving the car down the street. Now, it's almost 10 a.m. at this point. It's 9:52 a.m. Larry, he goes down Archwood Street, and he hides behind a semi truck. And he is still shooting at the cops. And then his rifle jammed. So this is what we were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
Now, he couldn't clear the jam. We don't know why.
Maybe he had a damaged hand.
Well, he did. He'd been shot in the wrist, and I think he'd also been shot.
So maybe he couldn't clear it.
Yeah.
It just hurt too much to clear it.
Because, like I said, a lot of the cops were saying that too, because they're like, that's a very common, like, thing to happen.
He might have had damage to his hands before that happened. He couldn't do it.
Yeah. Xander said, crazy to think this took place in the AM too, before lunchtime. It's like, I think about this kind of shit because it's like, yeah, it's like 9:30 in the morning. You could just be like out running errands or whatever, and this fucking shit like transpires. Holy crap. But yeah, so he couldn't clear the jam, so he throws the rifle away, and then he draws his Beretta pistol and then started firing that. At that point, he gets shot in the right hand. Now, he'd been shot in the left wrist before. So he gets shot in the right hand.
That's why he couldn't clear that malfunction.
Maybe. Yeah, that's probably why.
His hand couldn't move. It's probably numb as fuck. Just couldn't.
Yeah, you would think. I mean, if you got shot through the wrist, that's
and it's sapping his will and shit too.
Yep. So he gets shot in the right hand by Officer Conrado Torres, and then he dropped the pistol. Then he picks it back up, and like you said, he puts the muzzle of it under his chin, and fired it. So at the same time that this happened, apparently one of the rounds fired by the cops actually shot him in the back. I think it shot him in the back or like in the front, like it severed his spine.
Yeah, I think he got hit by sniper fire at the exact same time. He did,
at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, they're not real sure, and even the cops that were there were not entirely sure if he shot himself in the head on purpose or if it was an accident. To me, it looked like an accident, but I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm just watching the footage. To me, it looked like he was maybe trying to be like, hey, what the fuck is wrong with this? Or he just maybe wasn't thinking about it, or his hands were, both his hands were fucked up at this point. So he probably wasn't. But I don't know if he necessarily shot himself on purpose.
Body language looks like I think he did it by accident. There was another case where they got this little short black dude fucking robbing a bank, and he's got a pistol in his hand. He drops some money and somehow drops the pistol at the same time. Picks the pistol back up and looks down the barrel and pulls the trigger. Boom. And he blows his own fucking head off. It's a wily by accident.
Whoops. Don't look down the barrel of a pistol.
Yeah, and the fucking money goes...
That's the lesson
The money was in his hands, then it goes and fluttering down like fucking feathers and shit.
It almost makes you feel bad. Like, not really, but almost.
Dude had no idea how to handle a firearm. No idea at all.
Clearly. I mean...
Yeah, you can see that. You can find it. He fucking looks right down the barrel and pulls the trigger. Does this work? That's fucking crazy.
Why would that even occur to you to do that? Why is this not working? What the fuck?
Never fired a gun before. At least that's maybe how I remembered it. It might have hit he had it in his hand and he dropped it and picks it back up and shoots himself in the face. Because it shocked him that he dropped it.
Even people that don't have a lot of experience with firearms, you know that the bullet comes out that end. And that if you put that end towards your face, then maybe it will come out and kill you. Well, I mean, you'd think that would be common sense.
If I remember correctly, it was something like a 1911. It was a single action semi-auto, which means that the hammer's cocked and it's got a real fucking short trigger pull. So it doesn't take much. 5 pounds of pull. It's not a long, like, revolver type pull. It's a little short pull. And he had it in his hand, and he's fumbling with the money and drops the pistol a little bit, grabs the pistol, but it hits the fucking counter, and somehow shoots himself during that, catching the pistol and trying to get back control of it. He points it right at his face. right underneath his, like you said, underneath his jaw, and I guess he grabbed the butt and grabbed the. And it's just clearly on video security that he shot himself right through the bottom of the fucking face with his own pistol during some kind of weird fumble. And what happened to, what's his name, George? Larry, sorry. What happened to Larry looked almost like a similar fumble. Got shot in the hand, and it was like he was checking his hand in the pistol and did this and was making sure everything worked.
He's been shot in both hands at this point.
Yeah, and it was kind of like he was fumbling with it. And there wasn't any dramatic, fuck you bitches, I'm out of here. You'd think he'd brace up and go, you know what I mean? There wasn't any of that. It was just happening so fast, like a fumble.
But yeah, probably surprised him.
Yeah.
More than anybody else.
And he just slumps, boom.
Yeah.
Falls like a sack of shit.
Camp Guy said, I can't watch stuff like that anymore. It's not real graphic. I mean, basically, it's just kind of like, thank you, Victor. Sorry I'm late. Start over. Oh, my God.
See, it looks very different from a guy who shoots himself on head on purpose. I've seen videos of that guy.
That's what I was thinking. It just looked very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
That's the word I thought of.
There's one where there's a damn helicopter. The cops are chasing a van. Van goes off the road, goes into a swampy area. Fucking, he loses control of the van. Fucking, he gets out. He's running. The cops all get out and chase him. He's running on top of a hill. The helicopter's watching him. He stands there like this. I can't take it anymore. Pulls out a pistol and goes, blows his head off on live television. Yeah. And but you could see that he was going to do it. And then announcer's like, wait a minute, hold on, turn it off. And the guy, it goes, oh,
yeah, because there was like a build-up.
Too late. Yeah, there's a big build-up.
This one was just kind of like,
so fast.
Yeah.
Right. And you would think there would be a big build-up. And every time I've seen a guy on video shoot himself on purpose, there's a build-up to it. Because he's got to get himself psyched up to pull that damn trigger. You know?
Well, and a lot of times I think, like I said, it's that personality type where they're just like, motherfuckers, you made me do this. It's kind of like that kind of shit. Like they have to go out like with it. They have to make a big deal about it.
And what was so funny about the kid that shot himself, it was a kid that shot himself. He wasn't really wanted for anything. Yeah.
That's like a
much ado about nothing.
Well, that's what kills me about like people that get pulled over and it's like then they're just like they make a big deal and like they shoot themselves. And I've seen this happen a couple of times and it's like they had like an outstanding warrant. It was just like for pot possession or something.
I think
like,
if I remember correctly, this kid like no license, no driver's license.
Which
so he's gonna run. So he goes on a fucking 10-minute chase and then fuck it. I can't be arrested. Boom! It wouldn't have done any
like
time.
That's what I mean. It would have been a pain in the ass, but that's about all it would have been. It's like they're not going to put you in prison for 30 years or something like that.
In a couple of months.
Jesus Christ. Like I said, it would have been a pain in the ass at worst. Just, I don't know.
They don't know what they're facing. They just think dude thought it was the end of the world. He thought it was the end of the world or something.
I don't know. I'm always kind of one of the people that's like, well, let's see how this is going to shake out.
Yeah, he didn't want to see. I can't go.
It might not be as bad as I'm expecting.
They're going to put handcuffs on me. Fuck it. Goodbye, cruel world.
Dudes are such drama queens.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So basically, well, they didn't know if he was dead. Well, I mean, they were pretty sure he was dead. But, like, so the cops, like, go up to him. They kept shooting at him just to make sure. So they shot his body several times because they were like, is the motherfucker dead? Okay. So then they like walk up to him. They put handcuffs on him, even though he's probably already dead at this point, and took his mask off. Now, at this point, Emil, he was at the cops had shot out a couple of his tires, and they had shot the windshield out. So at about 4 minutes to 10 in the morning, he tried to carjack a Jeep that was going down the street. So he was shooting at the driver. The driver ran away, as you would, because the dude was shooting at you. But I guess the cool thing was that the dude that was driving the Jeep, he got carjacked, and he's like, yeah, I'm getting out of the car, but he took his keys with him.
Yeah.
And then Emil he takes all the shit out of the getaway and he puts it in the Jeep and then he's like, oh,
no keys. How much you bet? How much?
That's so awesome.
How much you want to bet? Old boy didn't even plan that. He just took the keys automatic without thinking about it. like you do when you get out of the car. He probably didn't even plan.
Yeah, he probably wasn't even like, yeah,
Probably
fuck
didn't think it.
this dude.
Just fuck us.
Well, yeah,
again.
because when you get out of the car, you just take the keys with you. That's just something that you do, like, without
he
thinking
probably did it
about
without
it.
even thinking about it.
So he's just probably like, hey, I'm taking the keys. Bye.
And then he sees the dude and goes, oh, I fucked him over. Yeah, that's
Nice.
Fucking
I didn't even mean to do that.
Prepper fucking brings up a good one. I'm talking about the dude shooting himself in the head, and Prepper goes, he needs some milk.
See, there you go. That's a
That's
callback.
some good viral callback. He needs some milk.
I guess he did.
Yeah.
Not going to do him much good now, though.
No.
Is it?
Where is Tila?
I have not seen Tila this
Tila
week.
isn't here, and Sandra isn't here.
Oh, yeah. Sandra's not here either.
Yeah.
Also, Sophie's not here.
Yeah, Sophie isn't here. Sandra isn't here. She's doing something bad in Germany.
Something
Breast
involving,
augmentation.
Something involving peanut butter and
Breast augmentation.
and breast augmentation and a tube top. I'm sure is involved. All right, so you talk for a minute because I gotta
hold on.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
I got to get a picture of Sandra one of these days. She says I wouldn't like her.
Are you soliciting what? Oh, because she's too skinny.
That's what she says. I guess she says she's too skinny. She's too skinny. She's wearing fucking... Hold on, let me change my hair. I gotta change my hair. I'm gonna put on my fucking French pervert hat. Hair hat. I'm gonna put on like... put this bitch on. This is... Oh shit, man. How do I fucking put this shit on? Trying to figure out which way this goes. Okay. Man, yeah. Now I'm a French director. This is my Roman Polanski wig. Yeah. What do you guys think of that? He needs some milk. See. Who's roasting in Cali? Oh, you talking about tea? Look at Robert Smith. No, man, this is my Roman Polanski wig.
Oh my God, you're doing that?
What's that? Yeah, it's my Roman Polanski wig.
That doesn't look that much like Roman Polanski.
I had to come up with
looks
some. I was thinking
kinda
it's like a French film director or something.
Yeah, okay.
So for some reason I just thought
I'll allow it.
Roman Polanski.
I'll allow it. He's not French though. He's Polish.
I know, but he
actually.
lives down there now. Running from his rape charges.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out who. Like you remind me of somebody, but I can't think of who it is.
I think I like.
You know what I mean?
Mick Mars from fucking
Maybe
Motley Crue.
maybe that's who it is. It's
I
somebody.
don't like this wig as much for some reason. It just does not have the impact. It does not have the impact.
You need to spike it up. You want some hairspray?
No.
I got
don't have
hairspray.
time for that shit. It does not have the impact of the fucking Willy Wonka wig. Okay?
It's not quite as ridiculous.
It's not as fucking ridiculous. I'd be coming in same Michael Caine with this.
Man, I'm gonna. Oh, his birthday's coming up soon. In a couple
Michael
of,
Caine's?
No, yours.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm gonna get you some. What kind of wig should I get Tom for his birthday? The more ridiculous, the better.
I don't know, man.
Can I get you like a princess kind of wig, like a fucking?
No girl wigs. I got
What?
girl
You're no
wigs
fun.
I got that long black one over there. That's my Ozzy Osbourne wig.
Yeah.
That's already a girl's wig.
But the thing about just long straight black hair, that's pretty androgynous.
Yeah.
That could be either thing.
That could be anything.
Yeah.
That could be anything. It's
Danny
my
Roller-
carrot top hat. My carrot top wig.
Maybe I'll get you a rainbow clown wig.
I don't care.
Or
That's fucking terrible.
maybe. Oh, you know what would be cool? It's like if you remember back in the old days when they had this big fucking like back in Mozart times when they had those big fucking giant wigs that had like
Yeah.
ships and swans and shit like that in
Yeah.
there, like the big fucking all the aristocracy wore that shit. Maybe I'll get you one of those. I wouldn't mind one of those. I'd wear that.
Tom
Not gonna
Baker
lie.
wig. He says that's my Tom Baker wig.
Oh my god! All right. Yeah, so hot.
Okay,
in the
go ahead and
West,
finish the case, Jen.
so hot at the West Coast right now. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hot here too. Actually, it was 90. I think when we started the show, it was 90 something
Yeah.
degrees.
Sanada says the AR-15 is better because it's American. Yeah, it's not better because it's American. It's just fucking better because it's just so modular. You can turn one into anything. And between the AR-15 and the AR-10 and everything that happened, things that you can do in this, there's just a diaspora of all these fucking companies that make shit for that. You can just make anything out of any of those ARs. It's just so modular. It's great. But really, when it comes to what's best out of all those fucking ARs and Eugene Stoner designs out of Armalite, the AR-18, the stamped metal one. They never really got it developed. It only went through like one iteration. But that was pretty cool too. That was kind of like cross between an AR and an AK. And that bolt carrier and gas system, that's used on all these new weapons. All the new ones use that AR-18 or AR-180 operating system. Everything else is just different trigger mechanism, different receiver, plastic bullshit. But that AR-18 really was... And that was the one the fucking Terminator and T-1 shot the police up with, was the AR-180.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that was badass fucking... A lot of people think it's a K2 rifle, a Daewoo K2. It's not. It's an AR-18. All right.
Eamon Cowan says, I think that's where the term bigwig comes from, the aristocracy wearing those huge wigs.
Gigantic wigs.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Some of those, like I said, some of those were pretty rad. Like, they were ridiculous, but I don't know. There's something I like about ridiculous. If you're gonna, like, lean into the shit, like I said, some of them had, like, whole fucking ship models and shit in there. I'm sure that was, like, you'd have to go to the party and your head would weigh, like, 100 pounds. So you'd only be able to stay for a little while because you'd be like, yeah, I'm getting, like, a headache. I gotta go home. But, you know. It looked cool when you first came in, and that's really all that matters, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so what?
No, yeah, I was going to say so. Yeah, the IRA had some AR-180s. But that's because, wasn't it, Whitey Bulger sent him a whole bunch of them out of Boston. You know,
that's right.
You could get your hands on them in the United States. They weren't real desirable. Most people wanted the AR-15. But AR-180s were the semi-auto version, and the IRA ended up getting a bunch of them. They were good. They needed to be developed a couple more generations. But they would have been really good had they been around for a long time. They were very light, fast to produce, and they were inexpensive, and they were good. They were kind of like an American version of an AK, mixed with an AR-15. Okay.
Prepper POV says those old-time Mozart wigs are at least resistant to low velocity rounds.
Yeah.
They probably were.
Yeah.
So as long as you were shooting at their hair, like, they totally fucking... Holy crap. All right, so I probably need another drink.
Okay, here, I'll make you one.
Yeah, all right.
Same thing?
Yeah. Yeah, I like the orange juice, actually. Okay, so poor Emil at this point, because Larry's fucking dead. So he, like, takes all the trouble of taking all of their fucking weaponry and transferring it to this car that he thinks he's carjacked, but he can't start it for whatever reason, because the dude took the keys or whatever. So he can't start it. So at this point, there's, like, helicopters, like news helicopters, and they were kind of overhead filming everything. And then there was some SWAT guys, and they were in a patrol car, and they stopped, like, they pulled up on the other side of the truck to where Emil had left the car, because he was, like I said, he was unloading. So Emil gets out of the truck, and then he ducks behind the original getaway car, which is a Chevy, and he started, like, shooting at them. So this went on for, like, 2 or 3 minutes, where they were, like, all just, like, shooting at each other. Now, at this point, like, one of these SWAT guys, I guess, hit him in the chest, but because he had, because he had the vest and he had the trauma plate in there, like, it bounced off, but it did wind him, I guess. So at this point, one of the SWAT guys, like, decides, hey, I'm going to start firing the AR-15, like, underneath the cars and, like, shoot the dude's legs. So that's what he started doing. So because Emil's legs were not protected, he was shooting under the car, and, like, he basically got his legs shot out from under him, and he got shot up, and he started putting his hands up like he was giving up, right? Now, at this point, he seemed to be surrendering, so all these cops, like, rushed in, and they pinned him down and put handcuffs on him. The SWAT guys asked what his name was. He said his name was Pete, like you would, which was not his name,
lied.
obviously. Now, at this point, there had been rumors going around that there might have been a third guy, like, back at the bank still, like, holding the hostages, holding the hostages. So they asked him about that. They said, are there any more dudes? Because they knew the one dude was dead. At which point, Emil replied politely, fuck you, shoot me in the head.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
But they did not do that. And honestly, there's been like kind of a lot of speculation over whether they just let the dude bleed out or whether it was a case of, well, the ambulance couldn't really get in there because it was a hot zone, because they have a thing like the ambulance can't come in there if they think they're still firing. And like I said, at this point, they weren't sure if there was a third suspect, like back at the bank still. So, they weren't like letting a lot of ambulances in there. And like I said, even some of the cops that had been hit, the ambulances couldn't get in there to get them. Like some of the SWAT guys like came in like in the armored car that they commandeered like to get some of the dudes, because one of the dudes was going to die for sure because he was like bleeding out. He'd been shot a bunch of times in the legs and whatnot. So because basically they let Emil bleed out, essentially.
Well, I think the way they saw it is that they had all these other people that they had to
there were cops
first.
and civilians
so
and stuff like that.
The
were
offender
hurt.
was at the fucking last of the
well,
list.
yeah,
probably.
I mean, and rightly so.
Yeah, he was the one that did all the shit.
And it kills me that, like, later on, like, after this happened, I feel like Emil's relatives, like, tried to sue the LAPD, like, saying, oh, you let him bleed to death. And I'm just kind of like, even if they did, so? There were other people that needed, like, he fucking...
Well, I don't know, did they give him any first aid? I don't even know if they even gave him any first aid. You could have fucking put some tourniquets on his fucking legs to keep his bleeding down. But he would have probably lost those legs anyway after all the tourniqueting and shit. I mean, he'd been shot to ribbons from the fucking knee down.
I think he was shot 29 times.
Yeah.
Not all in the legs, but he'd been shot, like, he was shot in the butt, he was shot in the arm.
Yeah.
But he was shot, like, a bunch of times in the legs. Enough that he bled out, like, in about an hour. But that was the thing, like, he just kind of laid there, and they had taken all his weapons away. He was handcuffed, so he was laying there, and he was apparently, like, asking them for help, like the cops. Now, the cops did radio for an ambulance, like, everybody said that. But...
he was cussing them out. You're gonna let me die, aren't you?
Yeah, he was just like swearing at them, and he kept saying, "Just shoot me, just shoot me, just shoot me." Yeah.
He was full of shit, really, when you think about it. That dude didn't want to live because he never would have been the man he was in his life. He was going to spend the rest of his life behind bars and probably without any legs. Okay.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have enjoyed it. It was better that he died. Just saying. Better for him that he died.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about it is that...
He was an egotistical motherfucker and a bodybuilder and shit. He didn't want to be fucking in a wheelchair the rest of his life, fucking locked up behind bars, fucking...
Thank you,
wasting
David.
away in prison and shit. Fucking... They did him a favor by letting him die.
Yeah.
That's me.
And I mean, yeah,
there was other people that they had to fucking evacuate, and...
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it ended up like, there was...
He wasn't cooperating. They thought there was somebody else still out there.
I think there was like, 12 cops got shot up, and I think it was 8 civilians, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So there were other people that they had to get to, that like the ambulance had to get to. And like I said, it's policy, like the ambulance can't come into, like I said, they call it the hot zone. It's like there was still like active fire. They weren't sure if there was a third suspect or not. So the ambulance, like, they didn't want to come in there because they didn't want to get shot up. And like I said, even some of the cops were down, and the ambulance couldn't get in to get them either. So I don't think they were like picking on him specifically. But on the other hand, they probably didn't like go out of their way to fucking make him any more comfortable either, because why would you? Like I said.
It was typical LA shit too. Bad traffic and stuff. Fucking...
Well, yeah, it's LA.
Not enough fucking ambulance support and stuff.
I mean, it's kind of like...
clusterfuck. And...
LA, what? It takes like a fucking hour to get anywhere.
Yeah, and he had been shooting at him 45 minutes, he and his buddy. Those cops weren't going to fucking help that dude out. He was going to be last on their fucking
Yeah, it's like they're not going to go out of their way, are
Mm-hmm.
they? Like I said, I wouldn't either if it was me. Because I'm just kind of like, I'll help you eventually. Like, after we get the good, innocent people, like, out of fucking, like, taken care of. So, yeah. So, he was shot 29 times. It took the ambulance about 70 minutes to get there.
Got a super chat.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah.
Gotta read it out.
Thank you, David. Okay, that is a Tom Baker wig.
Yeah.
You and Jenny take on the Daleks.
Take on the Daleks.
Take on the Daleks.
Take on the we gotta take on the Daleks. The Daleks.
The Daleks.
Yeah, they're not here.
Exterminate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gramthars Hammer says cops don't really do first aid other than CPR. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. They just. I mean, they did call an ambulance for the dude, so they did do that. But it just took them a long time to get there. So I don't know if they necessarily did it on purpose. Like, hey, we're just gonna let you bleed.
They
to
don't
death.
do first aid, then there's nothing they can do.
That's what I mean. It's like, well, you fucked around and found out.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I don't really have too much sympathy for the dude. So yeah, so like I said, this whole thing was like fucking broadcast live. Like you said, you saw it on TV. And basically, they had over 300 cops respond to this. And by the time the incident ended, Larry and Emil had fired 1,100 rounds, which is a round every 2 seconds, if you're counting, because it took about 45
It was an amazing amount of ammunition they'd fucking poured down range.
And
they were going in the trunk, getting more.
Amount of... Yeah.
Just shooting everything up.
I mean...
It's a miracle that fucking they didn't fucking kill anybody, but
that still amazes me. Like I said, now one of the cops, there was one cop, I can't remember what his name was, it started with a Z, but he got shot pretty kind of early on in the firefight, and he dragged himself, I think it was like 30 yards, like, and he was like hiding behind a tree, and he was bleeding out. I mean, they had, because one of the documentaries I saw, like the woman that was like the dispatcher, and she was talking to him, and she was trying to keep him awake, because he was just kind of like, I'm losing consciousness, because he was losing blood, right? And the ambulance couldn't get in there to get him. So he was one of the guys that the SWAT team had to come when they commandeered the armored car, and they came in and they got him. And honestly, he had been shot to hell, and he lost so much blood that I'm like amazed that he survived. So he like had the worst injuries, but he did live. So like I said, everybody that got shot, like a bunch of cops got shot. Mostly they got shot like in the ankles or the arms, or they just got grazed like in the butt or whatever. So most of them did live. Civilians were, a couple of them were shot. A couple of them were had like gun butts in the head and things like that. So they were injured, but they didn't die. And honestly, I can't believe like watching the footage now, because like I said, this is a Bank of America. There's like shit all around there. There's like a fucking there's a Del Taco over there. There's houses all over the place. It was like a neighborhood like behind there. And the fact that they were just like spraying this whole fucking area with rounds and nobody got killed, even accidentally, is fucking amazing. That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people got shot, but nobody died, which to me is amazing.
Yeah, some guys got shot up pretty bad. Some of the cops.
They did, yeah. Like I said, that one guy got shot up pretty bad, but he did live. Even though I don't know how he did, because he was just like fucking bleeding, and he was laying there for like a really, really, really long time. Like even when I was watching the documentary, I was like stressing out about the dude, because I'm like, he's still there, holy shit. And he was just kind of like, I'm losing consciousness, like, because they had all of the, they had all the recordings of like his fucking whatever. So they have like, Wikipedia had a list of all the injuries. Yeah, it was 12 police officers and 8 civilians. Sergeant Larry Dean Haynes hit in the left shoulder. Officer Martin Whitfield shot and seriously wounded 4 times in the left arm, right femur, and chest. Officer Conrado Torres grazed the right side of the neck. James Zaborovan, that's who I was thinking of. He was shot twice. Seriously, when he got shot in the lower back, hip, and thigh. Yeah, so it was all. So he was like bleeding all over the place. That was who I was thinking of. William Krulak hit in the right ankle. He was a detective. Detective Tracy Angeles grazed in the stomach and buttock. Officer Stuart Guy hit twice in the right femur and right forearm. Detective Earl Valadares hit in the head by flying debris. Officer Ed Brentlinger hit by gunfire and by concrete fragments on his face and left forearm. Officer William Lance hit in the right knee. Officer John Goodman hit by flying glass and shrapnel. Officer David Grimes injured in a traffic accident, which I guess it was, like I said, this was a clusterfuck. Also, a few civilians. There was a woman named Mildred Nolte, struck across the face by one of the perpetrators. John Villagrana, who was the assistant manager of the Bank of America, struck across the head by the stock of an assault rifle. Javier Orozco struck across the face. Barry Golding hit by flying glass and shrapnel. Tracy Fisher hit in the left ankle. Michael Horan hit in the left side of the chest. Jose Harrow hit by flying glass and shrapnel. And William Marr hit by glass and shrapnel fragments in the right arm, left temple, and nose. So like I said, fairly minor injuries, other than a couple of the cops.
Yeah, now all this, in summation, all of this could have been avoided had the LAPD issued out assault rifles to policemen. Now, some people that don't know what I'm talking about, civilians, they may be horrified. What do you mean you're going to give these weapons of war to the cops? Man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All right. A weapon of war is a fucking tank. Fucking a napalm bomb or a jet. It's just a regular old fucking rifle. It's a good combat rifle. Law enforcement's been using rifles and carbines going all the way back to the fucking 1700s. There's nothing unusual there. None of this happened by accident. These two dudes saw the gap. They said, those cops only have fucking pistols. If we fucking put on body armor and have fucking rifles, we can keep them out at a distance where they're not threatening to us, where they wouldn't be a threat. We could dominate them. So that's exactly what they did. They tried to dominate them military style with using firepower and fucking weaponry. Not a good solution long term, though. Like you said, that bought them 44 minutes until they eventually got taken out. Just not a good long-term strategy. But you can nip all this shit in the bud if your police have parity with normal, parity with what an offender can get, and have a normal combat carbine or a rifle. That way the advantage isn't there. So he can't walk around like he's king shit swinging a dick and fucking bossing an entire police unit around because they don't have fucking rifles. You know? That's the job of a bad guy or a fucking soldier, is to find the weakness of your enemy and exploit it. All right? If you have a weakness, it will be exploited. So the police have to be well-rounded. They have to be able to deal with things that will commonly happen. A dude with a rifle. Okay? Now, some things are just not fucking normal. Like the time the dude stole the M60 battle tank and rode that shit down the road. Well, yeah, cops weren't ready for that.
That's a special
Okay, this is a very special occasion. That's a weapon of war, all right? Or the time that the dude fucking made his own custom tank and destroyed the fucking town. Remember we did the show on that with the killdozer?
See the documentary Tread.
Yeah.
We talked about it a while back.
Motherfucker
it's really
went crazy.
good. I think it's on Netflix.
Made his own tank out of a gigantic bulldozer and
As one
fucked
does.
up everything. There was no way to stop it.
As one does.
Okay. They eventually got him, though. But that was just because he got stuck. All right.
Yeah. Well, he that was kind of like a suicide mission.
Yeah, he
pretty much. I mean, he wasn't planning on coming out of there, right? He sealed himself inside that shit.
Right. Just rest assured that there's nothing you can do. You cannot child-proof the world. We live in a dangerous world. If somebody wants to get you, and they're intelligent and have the resources and the fucking discipline, they'll get you. Okay? They'll make their own tanks if they have to. You just cannot child-proof the world.
I mean, but most of the time, most people aren't going to go to that much trouble.
Most of the time, you don't have to worry about it.
Most people aren't going to go to that.
Most people don't do it. But there's just no way to prevent everything. So you have to have your law enforcement guys ready for your average, well-rounded shit. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, some air support, from helicopters. They're going to need backup from other officers and good communications. And
I mean, they did have that to an extent because the SWAT team did have all that shit. They did have enough shit, but it took them a while to get there.
SWAT teams are special teams. Takes a long time to mobilize them, and a lot of times those aren't full-time SWAT guys. They're like on a detail. They're detailed out for that. They're doing other things at the time you need them. You have to call them. Okay, it's better if just every fucking patrol car has a fucking little carbine in there, 5.56, a little M4, M16, something like that. For every officer has that, either up in the cab or out in the trunk, to where if he runs across a dangerous situation, he can pull that out. It's so much better than a pistol. This whole concept that a cop has to have a pistol it's antiquated thinking. It's wrong thinking because they never had that in the past. They didn't have that in the 1800s. A policeman in the 1800s had a pistol. But he also had a lever-action carbine or a lever-action rifle or a fucking double-barreled sawed-off shotgun. So even back in the day, they were well-armed.
Well, and this particular incident was what spurred like cops in California now have
they all carry carbines,
semi-automatic rifles.
Yeah. That's the basic. That's just a basic, well-rounded, good firearm. Pistols are not good firearms. They're an emergency, last-ditch survival tool. The military does not even consider them to be weapons. They can more consider them to be a badge of authority. An officer will carry that to show you that he doesn't have to carry a rifle, that he's an officer. When in combat, a lot of times an officer won't even carry that. He'll carry a rifle, though, because he doesn't want to be singled out as an officer and killed by a sniper. Whoever got a pistol, kill that fucker. That's usually what a sniper does. So, even the military does not consider pistols to be weapons, per se. The weapon thing starts at about AR-15. I mean, yeah, it's a weapon, but it's a defensive weapon. And armies aren't about defense. They're about offense.
Yeah, so what I mentioned earlier was that this kind of kills me. Like, I get it, but it still kind of kills me. So, Emil Matasareanu's family sued the LAPD not too long after this incident, basically claiming, well, the LAPD let Emil bleed to death, like on purpose. So they brought it to court, and it was actually tried in spring of 2000 and ended in a mistrial. Now, at this point, like, the suit was dropped because I guess the family said they would dismiss it or whatever. But it does seem like, look, I get that's your family member. And it kills me, too, that this Emil dude had kids, right? Because that's who was suing. That was was his grown children. Can you imagine, like, if your dad did some shit like that?
Well, from your point of view, he's your dad. You know what I mean? So you're just.
If my dad pulled some shit like this, I'd be like, yeah, well, that's what happens.
You don't know the mentality of them, though. They might have saw him as kind of like a folk hero. Like, yeah, fuck them. You don't know what the attitude of that family was.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. It's just kind of like, I try to think about that all the time because, you know what I mean? You know when we talk about, like, BTK, and this is something that fascinates me. I think this is why I liked the movie The Clovehitch Killer so much, because it kind of explored that thing that fascinates me about what if you were married to somebody that was a serial killer for like 20 years and you didn't know, and then you found out, like, what would that feel like? So that's like a really fascinating thing to me. So I'm always kind of interested if somebody in my family, like my dad or my brother or something, like, they wouldn't, but if they did, hypothetically, if they did, like, make a big splat and you knew it was them, like it was on TV and everything, like they did a full fucking, bank heist, and like they were just like, yeah, kill me, blah blah blah, and it was just like, how would that make me feel? I don't know. It's like it's an interesting, like, thought experiment. Like I said, it's kind of like academic to me because I know my dad and my brothers probably wouldn't do that kind of stuff. You guys wouldn't do that, right? I don't know if you guys are listening, but like I said, I have two brothers. I don't know if you know, but and they're lovely people. But I don't know how I would feel about it.
I can only go back to what I remember people saying, people that knew him. They said that they fucking hated California. They hated fucking the LAPD. That they felt like they were behind enemy lines.
Well, I mean, that's cool. Most people don't like the LAPD. I get that. But it's just kind of like, this seems a little extreme. It's a little extreme reaction. I think they disliked him for a very different reason. Other people disliked him, though. Basically, what you're dealing with is that they did not like the government of California. They had fundamental differences with it. Right, but still no excuse.
They saw the LAPD as a fucking arm of that government. They evidently kind of saw themselves as behind enemy lines in a country that they didn't like, and that they were just going to steal and do whatever they wanted.
Like I said,
that's not a good long-term strategy. If you don't like that fucking state, man, go to another fucking state. But that might have just been what they were telling themselves to justify going out and try to steal a bunch of money.
I kind of feel like that's
so they could afford all their fucking drugs and their steroids, so they could go to Muscle Beach and chase fucking bikini girls.
Here's the thing,
and buy guns. Here's
the thing: if they hated it here so much. They had a successful 2 bank robberies early, and then $1.5 million. Yeah. $1.5 million is ample money to move elsewhere if you do not like it where you are.
Yeah.
So the fact that they didn't do that.
I think they were adrenaline junkies. I think they liked robbing these banks. All right.
Yes.
And they wanted,
I don't think it was anything to do with that.
No.
That's maybe what they told themselves, but I don't think that's really what.
I think they didn't like California. I think they didn't like the cops, but I also think that they liked robbing banks and that they liked to have a lot of money. And in their minds, they were probably, and I think they liked working out and they liked chasing bikini girls. And they liked fucking going to fucking Muscle Beach and shit. Yeah, you know, they probably dated bikini fitness competition girls.
Because of course they did.
Yeah, well, that's the female version of a muscle chick. You know, it's a muscle girl. And they wanted money to buy their shit. They liked guns. They weren't going anywhere. They wanted this. They wanted people they didn't like to leave. They weren't going to leave. They were going to give up ground. They weren't that kind of guy. And I think they were just super alpha and kind of dumb and not real fucking thoughtful when it came to like long-term prospects for survival.
Clearly.
I mean, okay, let's say you do fucking juice up on a bunch of that fucking manly ass roid rage, okay? And you do fucking go out there. Manly ass roid rage, and you do go out there and fucking steal $1.5 million. You would think that a man would fucking come off cycle and go, $1.5 million is a lot of money.
See, that's what I would.
And then you go, if I keep doing this shit, I'm gonna get caught and get killed.
Exactly. I've gotten away with it this far.
Yeah.
1.5 million. That is ample money.
Yeah, you would think
to survive on.
You would
ample.
Not only survive, you could thrive.
Sure.
You could say like, why don't I fucking call it quits? I'll sell off all my shit.
See, that's
and then go move down to Barbados or something.
That's what I would be doing.
All right, or go move down to fucking.
Why press your luck?
Yeah, go
if you
down.
Don't have to.
Go down and fucking buy something out on the Virgin Islands and go stay out there for a fucking good 10 years, where you don't really need that much money.
That's what I'm saying.
$1.5 million, you could fucking go to a fucking one of these developing African nations and fucking live like a king there for the rest of your fucking life.
Like I said, you could live somewhere that didn't have an extradition treaty.
Yeah.
And you could, and had like kind of a low
wouldn't even
cost
matter.
of living.
That wouldn't even matter because they weren't suspects.
Well,
so
right, but I mean, just, to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if it was me, I would try to.
I'd have gone to some place that was like an up-and-coming African country, like Nigeria or something, or...
Yeah, you could just get like a decent house. Like, I don't need a lot.
And $100,000 in a country like that will buy you a fucking mansion that would be $4 million. You know what I mean? In Florida, you know. You can buy a palace for a couple $100,000. Now, I'm probably exaggerating. But you could just spend the rest of your... And then you can start a business down there. Just, open a bar to pay your bills or something.
That's what I mean. Or it's like, well, I don't know if I would want to open a business because they're like money sucks, but...
Well, you need something to pay the fucking lights. You know what I mean?
True, but if you're living somewhere that it's kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's probably just better to be low key and not like worry about shit.
That's what happened to the Italian mob in the United States. Over time, most of them just went straight. A lot of them got killed, but their families survived and they had money and they just bought restaurants and nightclubs and got involved in regular business and married working people and stuff.
Yeah, if you have that much money, I mean, it just seems easier to just do shit legit.
Just do normal shit, yeah.
Because otherwise, you're not just like you're not constantly worrying about one, the cops catching you, two, like the fucking rival gang shooting you in the face.
You don't have to worry about hiding what it is you do for a living.
Yeah,
that's another.
It just seems like stress I don't need.
Yeah. I can understand the temptation of fucking somebody doing that to try to make a quick come up.
Have I considered robbing a bank? Absolutely.
You have?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you wouldn't make it though, I don't think.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, me.
You know how I overthink everything?
Yeah.
So I would plan the shit. I would definitely have more plans than these motherfuckers had, that's for sure. I'm not as dumb as you think.
I wouldn't rob a bank.
No, I'm just saying that wouldn't be my first go-to. I understand the temptation because it's like, one and done. It's like I only have to get away with this one time, but you really have to like plan the shit out of that because
I don't think it's as much money as you
I
think.
and I don't know if it's like worth it. Like the risk reward thing is really not.
Be safer to get involved in some kind of drug deal where you fucking come up about $10,000 or $100,000 and then just try to walk away from it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like. Well, I don't know.
Evidently, a lot of people have done that.
Yeah. I don't know, though. The thing about drug dealing is that then you have to get involved with other people that are drug dealers, and then you might, like, fall afoul, and it's, like, just this whole thing, and somebody might bump you off. So it's just kind of like, I understand the appeal of just doing, like, a bank job, and then,
I think it's too... I don't think the reward is great enough anymore.
Yeah, it just seems... It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's too hard. And honestly, like I said, I'm kind of into like art heists or like diamond heists and stuff like that. I admire the dudes that do that, but it's work. The dudes that did the Antwerp diamond heist, which maybe one of these days we'll do a show about it because I read a book about it and it's like fucking fascinating. But they planned for 2 years.
Yeah. And
there was a bunch of them. And they had all this they had maps and fucking shit. It was like a movie.
The problem,
you know what I mean? So it was just kind of like, that's like, it's too much work. It's too, you might as well just get a job. Yeah.
And then the other thing is that you have to be willing to go to prison.
Well, that too.
Because what ends up happening with art heisting is that you steal the art and then you have friends that hold it for you. You wait till you get fucking arrested and you say, I don't have it. But I think I know who does have it. And then they send you to fucking jail.
Well, that's what the Gardner
and then they sit there and fucking try to wear you down. And they're like, I think for the right price, I can get that piece of art back for you. Well,
but shit, man, that one dude, they interviewed him for that Gardner heist thing that was on Netflix.
Right.
And that's basically his whole entire career.
Yeah, you can't admit to stealing it, but you have to be an art specialist. And you have to have a fucking long history of being credible about, I know all about art. And you got to just... fucking to convince them, well, if you let me go and you give me the right amount of money, I can go out there and I can find that
I'll show you where the shit is.
I'll find it for you.
Well, see, the thing about the Gardner heist, like I said, I wanted to do a show about this for a while too, but there was like Netflix did a mini-series about it recently, and I read a book about it a couple years ago. The thing about that one is that one seemed very, very specific. Like they did take some shit that was like questionable. But most of the shit they stole, it almost seemed like somebody gave them a list of shit they wanted. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the shit they stole was just kind of like maybe not shit that you would first go to. I mean, they obviously kind of knew what they were doing. Yeah. So I kind of feel like, and the fact that most of the shit hasn't surfaced, that leads me to believe that somebody somewhere said, hey, go take this. These are the ones that I want. And then he took them and sold them to that dude. I don't think they were trying to sell them on the open market because why would you?
What?
You
can't sell it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You can only
so I feel like art heists, it's either for a ransom, which that might have been, or somebody somewhere, like some rich ass collector, is like, I have to have XYZ. It's like, please go steal these for me from wherever.
Usually,
and that's what they. It
usually isn't that.
Or like you said, a lot of times it's like ransom.
Yeah, it's almost always you steal the shit. It's a national treasure, and the government of France will do anything to get this fucking thing back. If you're willing to fucking spend 2 or 3 years in jail over the shit, okay, and negotiating with them, they'll eventually let you out and give you a bunch of money to go get that fucking picture back.
Yeah.
They know that you know where it is. You haven't admitted to it, though, because you can't. All right? But you convinced them that if they let you out and they give you the right amount of money, that the picture comes back. And then it does. And the dudes that do this have done it several times. But in every case, they've done 3 or 4 years sitting in jail.
But that's kind of like, that's kind of baked into
it.
I mean, they're expecting to do that. That's kind of
you have to get caught and go to jail. That's part of the negotiation.
Yeah.
So
occupational hazard.
That's part of the plan.
Yep.
All right, and that's how you protect your partners. And they got you, but that was the whole fucking part of the plan. You go, you got me, but you don't have the painting.
Yeah.
If you let me go, I think I can get it, though. You know, if you give me the right amount of money, I can find it. I think I know who has it.
Well, because in a lot of ways, a lot of those pieces of artwork are more valuable than the people involved.
Exactly. So,
and they know that.
They know that. They know all that. So they know that they know they're going to get it back. So it's like a battle of will. They're like, how long do you want to hold this dude before we get that painting back? And they go, make that motherfucker do 4 years. But he doesn't care because you're going to give him $2 million.
Yeah,
So
I'd spend 4 years in prison for $2 million.
Right?
Sure.
And he's got $2 million from the last time he did this shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Like I said, I can see what, and they're not going to put you like in fucking. I mean, it depends on what country.
No, they do that shit. Fucking, they go to regular fucking general population.
That's what I mean. They're not gonna. It's not gonna be like some hardcore shit.
No, it's hardcore.
I mean, yeah, but not like.
I've seen where they send that one dude. It was somewhere in France. They just had him in general population in like a central lockup. He wasn't convicted of anything, so he was in jail. He wasn't in prison. Okay. Yeah. Which jails fucking suck. Okay. So it's like just a holding area, just waiting. Yeah. They don't have any fucking privileges or anything. But he doesn't care. He's gonna get $2-3 million. He's ransoming this shit off for millions of dollars. So he's sitting in there doing Tai Chi and mental fucking powers and doing it, fucking Hannibal Lecter shit. You know what I mean? Fucking sitting in there for 4 years.
You look even funnier doing your like kung fu moves with that wig on.
Sitting there like that for 3 years. And then they contact him about the painting. Oh, yeah, the painting. Yeah, the painting. You know, I don't know where the painting is. I had nothing to do with any of this shit. But I think I know who has it. He's going to want money for it, though.
Yeah.
He's going to want about $3 or $4 million for this. He's going to want $4 million for it. Oh, you're not going to let me out? Okay, well, then just come back and call me when you want the painting back. I can get that painting.
It's like, I'll just go sit
myself. Yeah, okay, bye. You know, so they're just in this waiting game. But they know what he's doing. They're like, make that motherfucker do 5 years.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care. He wants the $4 million.
Yeah, like I said, I mean...
And then he would do shit like, well, the longer that we make them wait, the more it's going to be. So that he starts putting pressure on them.
Interest.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they want their money now. You know. If you make me wait another 6 months, they could probably put another $1 million on this. Yeah. You know, it's going to cost more. But,
they have this whole fucking shit planned out.
Yeah.
Like I said, people like... I laughed because Victor said, sometimes I wonder if I'm too old to just quit my job and follow my dreams and become an international art thief. Don't think I haven't thought about that. Because I... like
you got to know a lot about...
You do.
Tell the FBI all about it.
No, I'm just saying that... I've always been interested in particular... because I'm like a big... Like, I'm really into...
Well, you have to know the value of all that shit.
Well, I know, but see, I'm really like into art and art history and stuff like that. So I've always been fascinated by.
You have to know all the people.
Art heists, and I've always also been fascinated by art forgers. I am super like fascinated.
We've seen some of them cases where they'll steal some shit, but then the guys go, "Why'd they take that? That's not worth that much money." And they're like, "They took that, but they didn't take this. This is worth more." So some people do this shit and they don't know what they're doing. Either
that or they have another reason for doing it. I kind of suspect the latter. Yeah. But honestly, I'm fascinated by art thieves and jewel thieves also. But I'm also really fascinated by art forgers. I love art forgers, particularly Han van Meegeren. If you guys, I've been wanting to do a show about him for like forever because I find him like fascinating. I've read like 3 or 4 books about him, and he is just like a he was most famous for like forging Vermeers, and I read some books about him, and I was really interested in like all the technical shit about what he did to get the paintings right. But also what I thought was super awesome was that he was really, really hardcore about getting the forgery right, like the first couple times, like when he, was like, hey, here's this Vermeer that he didn't like forge a painting that already existed. What he did was he would paint something, because Vermeer didn't really have that many existing artworks remaining, but like the ones that he had were like super valuable. So he was kind of like, well, I'm going to paint ones that are like in that style, but I was like, I'm going to say that it was like a lost Vermeer. Like, so this is something he would have painted and we just found it. So that's kind of like what he did, which was smart, I thought. So he did that, and then he would do all this stuff, like he'd bake it in the oven, and he would do all this kind of shit. And he would do that. And then, like, but after a while, though, oh, shit. After a while, I love that after a while, he just totally got lazy. And he was just kind of like, well, shit, man, it's anything I fart out and, like, paint, they'll buy it because they think it's really a Vermeer. So he didn't, like, give a fuck anymore. So it was like he didn't even try to make them that good. So, like, a lot of the later forgeries are, like, really, really terrible looking in hindsight. But at the time, everybody's, like, just eating that shit up. And, like, actually, the Nazis bought a bunch of them, too, like, thinking they were real, which I thought was very funny.
So, we done with this case?
Yeah, you want to talk about some other shit?
How long we been streaming?
2 hours and 49 minutes. Okay, so not that long. Your part is very crooked.
No, it's got to be crooked because I'm Glenn Danzig right now.
Wait, does Glenn Danzig have a crooked part?
Yeah, his part's over here. See, because he's got the side. He's got this way.
Seriously,
anything you want, anything this world has to offer, I can give you. If you just reach out your hand, say you will. Like that. Right? Never mind.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Xanada says I still don't know who Danzig is.
Fuck, I can't understand this shit.
These children.
Fucking
Glenn Danzig.
I showed
he was in the Misfits.
I showed Xanada fucking Apocalypse Now. He loved that shit.
Victor said it's TRT share.
Yeah, TRT shit. That's another good. I showed him Apocalypse Now. He fucking loved that shit. He watched that shit fucking like 6 times, the Redux version. But then I showed him fucking. I tried to get him to watch Conan. He couldn't get through it the first time. And then the second time he said he liked it, but he fell asleep at the end of it. I can't understand this shit. And then he won't watch The Thing. He keeps saying, well, I'm going to watch The Thing. But he never gets around to seeing it.
The Thing is one of the best horror movies ever.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Dude, you don't know who Glenn Danzig is, man? Go fucking get... go get an album on there. You can get this shit on YouTube. Danzig 2, Lucifuge.
He was in the... I like the Misfits better, but...
He wouldn't like the Misfits.
That's horror punk.
Yeah, it's like punk rock music. Now, you want fucking Danzig 2. Listen to that album. Danzig 2 and Danzig 3. Danzig 4 was good, too.
I mean, Danzig, right.
Yeah, Danzig was good. It was metal.
Yeah.
It was kind of a special kind of metal. It was like a satanic metal type of...
It's special metal.
But it was kind of like, also like the Doors. He kind of sounded a little bit like...
Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison a little bit.
Yeah, he's really into like Jim Morrison and like... Yeah.
With 50s.
Elvis and shit.
50s and Elvis and shit.
Although, if you really like the Doors and you want like some fucking 80s shit, Echo and the Bunnymen is where it's at. Because Echo and the Bunnymen are very, very Doors influenced. Victor said, let's talk about art theft. Show them this game right here. Pull that out for me.
Oh, man. Okay.
You can do it. Right? You can do it. Don't break my shit.
So you're saying I can do it, and I may not be able to do it.
Don't break my shit.
See? That was your fault.
No, it wasn't.
You made me do it.
No. I made this game a while back called Boosting Botticelli. That's all about art theft. And I'm in the process of making a version of it that is smaller. That's just like a card game. It's going to be played kind of like that, and it's called something different, but it's kind of like not as complicated. What did you knock off of there?
Just a little plastic mug. Be
Pick
all right.
that mug up. Pick that mug up. Please. Let me see it.
What are you worried about this for? It's a little plastic mug.
This is my alligator farm mug. If you go to the alligator farm and you buy one of these at the snack bar, you can refill your shit all day long, which is what I did because it was fucking 100 degrees that day, and you're walking around outside. So I was like, well, shit, I'll pay $7 and I'll just like fucking have ice and ginger ale all day long. Thank you. But yeah, so like I said, Victor, I'm super into art theft. And like I said, if you don't know anything about Han van Meegeren, I want to do a show about him one of these days. Maybe I'll have to do it on one of the sidetrack shows because I find him like a fascinating character. Like, it's not legal, but, you know, that's okay. What did I knock over? All right. Yeah. The thing about, like, for whatever reason, I think I brought this up on maybe Wednesday's show or the show the other day, that I have Pandora on my phone because it was already in there and I already had an account, so it was just like, whatever. And my station, I literally have, I think I have like 50 different bands in there, But whenever I listen to it, which is every day, because I listen to it when I'm all, like, walking, and they play at least 2 Misfits songs every single fucking day.
He likes the Ramones and Sex Pistols, so you probably like the Misfits.
Yeah, I mean, if you like Ramones and Sex, you know, that's another thing that
like
my Pandora station plays a lot of Ramones.
Yeah.
And not so much Sex Pistols. They play a lot of PIL, though.
Yeah, I think I like Danzig better, though, than Misfits. I just do.
Yeah,
Musically
they're
a
not...
lot better.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, the Misfits are very... If you like the Ramones, you should probably for sure like the Misfits. Yeah. Because it's... I mean, it's very simple, but it's like... I don't know. They're just like really entertaining. But, yeah. My Pandora plays a lot of Misfits and a lot of Ramones. It's really weird because I think I brought this up before and Sophie was like, why don't you get like fucking Spotify or whatever? I was just like, well, I already had a Pandora account. I got my new phone. It already had a Pandora app on it. I was like, yeah, whatever. What the fuck? So I just wanted something to listen to while I was hiking. So I went and listened to my station. And even though my station is so weird because I have like 50 to 100 different bands on there. And it kind of runs the gamut. You know, I got punk, I got like some 60s shit on there, I got like fucking Johnny Cash on there and Hank Williams and shit like that. But I also got like a lot of new wave. I got like, so I have all kind of different stuff. So I'm not really sure if my radio station knows what to do. This morning, it played, what did it play? It played Rufus Wainwright, which is awesome because I love him. Then it played David Bowie. And then it played Leonard Cohen. And then it played the Misfits. And then it played... Shit, man. What did it play after that? It played Minor Threat. And then it went off in a punk rock direction. But sometimes, like one morning, the other morning I went for a walk. And for the first half of my walk, like for like half an hour, it played like Irish folk punk. Which I guess because I put the Pogues in there... so it played like Pogues adjacent stuff for like half an hour and then it went into like New Order and then it started playing like new wave and stuff. But it's like, it's bizarre how it gets into these little like moods. It's very strange and you never really know. Like I'm okay with it because I'm just like, whatever. I'll just like listen, whatever, mostly. It's very rare that like a song comes on that I'm just like, fuck this and I skip it. Every now and then it happens. I think the one time it happened, I was listening to it in the car, and it played... What's that fucking band that they had at Hot Topic all the time? HIM? Okay, so it started playing the song, and I was driving, and I was literally driving, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And I don't usually do that, because I'm usually like, whatever. But I was like, what the fuck is this shit? What is this crap that it's like playing on here? And like when I parked and I picked it up and I was like, oh, okay. And then I skipped it. But that pretty much it's pretty good. Like it plays whatever. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep everything on my face.
Oh my God.
I ought to go to the club like this.
You should. Well, this weekend, actually tonight, what is it? It's Friday, right? Tonight and tomorrow night at Mannequins is Goth Apocalypse. They're doing a Mad Max apocalypse theme. So everyone's supposed to like look like Apocalypse.
Are we going to that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, we got to go out Monday for Memento. So I don't know if we're going out tomorrow night or not.
Yeah, the kids are coming with us.
The kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are they? She's not here. She's not here tonight.
You didn't say anything. I would have asked them to come over.
No, I mean, she's not here in the chat.
Not here in the chat.
Because she was here Wednesday.
Yeah. Doing their thing.
When we were like drunk and I didn't even know what we were talking about. Which I'm drunk now, but I still kind of know what I'm talking about. Mostly. Look at you with like 2 glasses.
I'm going to have 4 glasses.
4 eyes. You're actually 6 eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, are we going out tomorrow night?
I don't know.
Because we have to go out Monday night. Yeah, the kids are going to go with us on Monday night to Memento Mori.
The kids might be at Mannequins tomorrow anyway.
They might be, yeah.
Yeah, if we told them to go, they probably would.
Like I said, it's like I'm not gonna do a Mad Max thing because I don't think I have anything.
Any time for that shit.
For that.
Yeah.
I forgot. Like last weekend was supposed to be steampunk, and then I got there.
It's too fucking hot for Mad Max. I have all those leather jackets and all that shit.
I got there and I was like, oh yeah, it's steampunk, and I did the fucking poster, so you'd think I would remember, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember that stuff. I did so many posters. Xanada said, my sister is really into My Chemical Romance. Boo.
Terrible.
My Chemical Romance was one of those things. They're not awful. It's just kind of like...
It was generic.
Yeah.
Generic fucking pop
I
goth.
felt like that's kind of what happened when, you know, when Hot Topic got real popular, when goth kind of went mainstream in the 90s. Then you got... It was really weird because I feel like you had all of these kind of like kids that looked sort of gothy or goth adjacent, right? But they all listened to like pop punk.
I'm looking in here, man, and
Which is very strange.
I look like the lead singer of fucking Life. Life is life.
Who, Leibach?
Leibach, yeah. Life is
I thought you looked
life.
a little bit like Ian Astbury from the Cult a little
yeah.
bit. Sing Firewoman.
I forgot how that went. How'd that go?
I don't know. I don't like the Cult. They're one of the... I liked them when they were still kind of death rocky.
The Southern Death Cult.
I liked them when they were Southern Death Cult.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Once they went to the Cult, they kind of went a little metally. Kind of like how Sisters of Mercy went later.
That first Electric album was pretty good. It was okay. It was kind of like a goth version of AC/DC.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
What you doing? She's sniffing your wig.
Yeah.
Prepper
Yeah, what are
POV.
these things?
Life is life. Got to look that up. Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, Leibach.
I like
That's good.
Leibach.
Life is life. It's just this damn gothic industrial German band, and they're all dressing up in this Germanic shit. They're up in the fucking mountains with the snow and fucking goggles and fucking hats and leather shit, and they're just it's fucking bizarre. It's good though. It's good. It's kind of like Nitzareb.
Not as
darker.
Not as dancey.
Not as dancey. Dark.
Because I feel like Knights of Reb are kind of more like the club version of that shit.
Yeah.
But Leibach is more like... They're more towards like the Einstürzen and Neubauten end of the range. Whereas like Einstürzen and Neubauten is more like... You can't really dance to it because it's just... A lot of it's just like noise. Although they mellow it out like later on. But...
I'll show it.
A lot of their shit, like, you can't dance to that, really. Because it's just, like, noise. But I like that. So Leibach is kind of, like, in between those things, I guess. They had a couple songs that were kind of big. I don't know if I'd say they were big club hits, but they were kind of, like, they got played at clubs a lot. You know?
Okay.
Life is Life, or, you know, it was mostly in German. I heard the German version. Liebe something. I don't speak German. That's right, I remember that. I really do like that song though. We're gonna get demonetized because of the
that's right.
copyright.
Hold on.
He looks like Vlad the Impaler there. Ooh.
That was it. Life is life.
Yeah. Yeah, Xanada says emo is just a style. My sister has crazy colored hair and dresses like a scene kid. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to like shit on anybody, but that whole emo thing just sort of bummed me out when that happened. I guess that kind of first came to popularity, I guess, in the 90s. And then I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't really know. I don't like where this shit's going. It's just, I don't know. It bummed me out. And are people still into that? I guess. But it just seemed like, it was weird because it seemed like a lot of the kids that were into that, the shit they were listening to wasn't that different from what was being played, like what was mainstream music, right? That's what weirded me out about it. It's like, you guys aren't that, you think you're all, they were kind of like doing the same shit, like with the attitude. It's like, oh, we're so different from like blah, blah, blah. But it's like the music they were listening to is not that different from what mainstream people were listening to. It just sounded, like I said, it just sounded like pop punk at the time. I went into Hot Topic and it's like, it would just be pop punk playing. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this shit? I don't like this. I don't know. But maybe that's me. Shit. What are you doing?
trying to get back to the stream.
Making noise.
Well, the volume was turned on because I was letting them listen to that song. Life is life. I want to hear that now.
See, that's the thing I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I don't think I've ever heard the English language version. That might be the first time.
Yeah.
I had it on my iTunes for a long time, but I think it was the German version. Hot Topic ruined it. Yeah, they did. And honestly, Hot Topic used to be okay back in the day. Like, I used to be able to find, like, some decent clothes there. Way back in the day. But after a time, it seemed like they just kind of went... I don't know. They were never playing anything good when I went in there. And it's like, then they were just kind of like, hey, we're going to do all t-shirts and toys. They didn't really have any good clothes anymore. Because I bought some cool shit.
It started to go down a direction that just wasn't goth. They had some good shit there for
They did.
a couple years. For a couple years, it went pretty good.
I mean, I didn't grow up with it because we didn't have a Hot Topic in where I grew up until early 2000s, maybe.
Well, I told in earlier shows that my friend Melissa, who managed a fucking store down in Biloxi, ended up being kind of like a regional manager of Hot Topic because she was just gothed out as fuck. And they would do all these online conferences back in the fucking late 90s when that shit was really high tech. And that's where they cooked up the damn fucking big ass gothic Jinkos.
The big pants.
Yeah, and they were gonna change
that we used to
the
like
whole
make
look.
fun of all the time.
And the reason why all that happened is because there weren't enough goth kids to fucking support Hot Topic. So you had to take what was mainstream and fuse that in with things that were kind of like
to make
goth.
like kids think that they were being rebellious when they really
yeah.
weren't.
You take what they were already wearing and kind of make it a little bit goth. But then when they said fuck that, they were wearing Jinkos.
Yeah.
Remember Jinkos?
Yeah, big giant pants.
Big giant fucking jeans. Yeah, they were like a skirt jean.
I was too old for that.
Remember them? Yeah, it was cute back though. They had cute girls though that were wearing.
Well, you had to be a tiny,
Yeah.
young little girl
with a belly ring.
Yeah, they
with
would,
a ring in your fucking belly and a fucking ring
and a
in
little
your tongue.
and a little half shirt.
And a half shirt and a tongue ring. And the half shirt, you either had to be like flat chested or you had to have fucking great boobs, so the bottom of your boobs would be poking out to the bottom of that fucking half shirt. They were fucking cute as shit. And they were goth adjacent. They would go out with goth guys.
But it's not really the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Because
They were
Gramthars
ravers.
says, is emo basically goth light? Not really. It's not really the same thing exactly. It's hard to explain.
It was like a goth type offshoot, but from our point of view, it came out of nowhere, and it was kind of amateurish, and it went away quick.
And like I said, they were all, it was just kind of like, to me, it seemed like they came out of nowhere.
It was real corporate.
They were dressing sort of like goths, but also kind of like with some other shit mixed in that didn't make any sense to me.
Peg leg pants.
And they were also listening to shit like
That was definitely not goth.
Green Day.
Yeah, they listened to Green Day and Avril Lavigne, maybe. And
And
shit
it was
that.
like shit that was like real, like
Yeah.
that everybody
Listen,
knew.
it was kind of pop.
Right.
It
Which was,
kinda
that was very strange
It was
to me.
kind of like a gothic interpretation of pop. The best thing that they did listen to, though, was what was that fucking Interpol. They would listen.
See, I like them.
Interpol was good. They listened to that, and I liked Interpol. She Wants Revenge. They listened to that.
I also like
and
She
that
Wants
was good too. That was a Bauhaus ripoff. We met them at the fucking club. Remember?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, they were good.
Well, A Starry Night opened for them.
Yeah.
Like on
Well, no,
one of their
before-
tours.
before.
Yeah, but we met them before.
before.
That. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they were at Ibar.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody comes to Ibar.
Yeah.
Or they changed the name back to Barbarella, so I have
Yeah.
to call it Barbarella now. That's what it used to be called. Then they changed it to Independent Bar, but recently they changed it back to Barbarella. But that's what it used to be called a long time ago. But, well, see, that's why I didn't get the whole emo thing, because it just seemed to me that it's like, you guys are trying to look like goth, sort of, but you're not listening to any gothic music. You're just listening to, like, pop music or punk music, like pop punk. Like I said, they were listening to, like, Green Day and shit like that. Which, you know, that's fine, but I didn't get it. I didn't really get the connection. it had kind of become divorced from. I mean, the aesthetic had kind of become divorced from the music at that point.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really. So that I think that's what pissed me off more than anything else.
No,
because people were just kind of like commandeering the look without anything behind it.
But no, I'm just confirming what Xanada said. No, some of the emo girls were really cute. They were cute. They weren't goth though. Yeah.
No, it's not really the same thing.
No.
Not really the same
But
thing.
they were cute. They were, from our point of view, they were mainstream. They were close. But, like I said, they were all like little Avril Lavigne's, kind of.
Yeah, which was like, she was in the fucking top 40, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just regular pop music. There wasn't anything like weird or edgy or nothing like that about that.
Some of them even had good hair. They had kind of good taste in clothing, some of them. But like I said, it wasn't goth. It was almost very 60s inspired. You know, that was almost like something that, like, maybe they were listening to the Monkees or something.
Daydream believer.
Yeah. It's like,
hey,
that.
Tila's in the house.
Tila just want to show.
Wow, I just walked in the door and y'all still on. Of course we are.
Fucking end of the
it's
show.
It's only 3 hours. Come on.
End of the show, and T just fucking walks in here.
Shit, man, we already finished talking about the topic.
Yeah, end of the show. T walks in here, dropping her tits like a fucking gangster. Boom. Letting gravity do its work. What are you doing? T, look. Did you start Spartacus yet?
Wait a minute. Tila says, I saw a dog get hit by a car today. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Sad, but he survived. And okay. Well, shit, man,
good.
I hope so.
I ran over a raccoon when I was fucking coming back from the club one time. Remember that? And all its brothers and sisters saw it happen. And I was just like, oh.
That was the worst.
I couldn't stop in time. There's no way.
That was the worst.
They just ran. The raccoons ran into the side of the car, basically.
Yeah.
There was just no way to stop.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I fucking looked in my rearview mirror, and he's laying in the road, and all of his fucking brothers and sisters are going, whoa, whoa.
Oh, it was
and I was
awful.
like, fuck it, I ain't stopping.
It was
kept going.
awful.
Couldn't handle it. Because it was unintended. That was some unintended shit.
It's awful.
Yeah, but...
I live in fear. Because one night I was coming home from work. I wasn't even drunk or anything, but I used to work like night shift. And so I would be coming home at like 2:33 in the morning. And a dog literally jumped into my bumper. And I ran over him. And I stopped, obviously. And like I got out of the car, but then I couldn't find him. So I guess he ran off. But I was just kind of like, man, I hope that fucking dog made it. Gramthars Hammer said, if some emo girls showed up at Ibar, would they be shunned? I don't think it'd even shun them.
No, some of them goth girls in there, you could tell were emo girls a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they still sometimes kind of carry a little bit of the look.
Yeah, you still see it because particularly at Memento Mori, which is kind of more the goth industrial night, where you get a slightly younger crowd.
Yeah.
Ibar Saturday night is kind of a mixture of kind of younger, sort of like just regular people, and then like older goth people. Yeah. But Memento Mori is kind of like older goth people, but then like young, like kids that got into it in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
So you do get some like emo carryover.
Yeah.
And nobody is like shitting on it.
No. The cute emo girls from like the mid 2000s, you know, like 2005, 2008, 12, around that time. 2012 maybe too late, but 2010. They wore cute boots that would have been like goth friendly. They wore little bitty pointed, like what we call pixie boots that were very aggressive and real high with a little spiked heel, and they were kind of a short, a little bit above the ankle. It's kind of like the little skull boots you had. They wore shit like that, but in different colors, with little fucking peg leg, fucking black pants. I mean, they had a decent aesthetic. The good ones. Some of them. The problem was the male fashion. What the guys wore just was fucking terrible. Terrible.
I had more of a problem with like the music than
the music wasn't that good.
Most of the clothes looked alright.
Yeah.
Blaster One asked, do you guys like Slayer or Pantera?
I like Slayer.
Yeah,
I don't
Tom
know
likes
Pantera.
Slayer.
Yeah, I like Slayer. Yeah. Especially like my favorite one was my favorite Slayer album, and I had Hell Awaits. That was a pretty good one. What was it called? Not Rain and Blood. It was the one with War Ensemble in it, and fucking shit. What was the name? It had a fucking spooky ass, terrible looking cover. had War Ensemble and not Hello Waits. What the fuck was the name of that? You probably know better than me, man, but it's been a long time. That was around
yeah, Tom was a metal guy.
1990. Yeah, I started off actually metal, liking metal music, and then went into new wave, and then gothic, and then for a while it was like all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that stuff was happening at the same time. There was even crossover slightly. Like very early, the first album of Motley Crue was kind of like a goth rock album. It had a goth rock look to it. They were wearing girls' clothes, their girlfriends' clothes, and the weird fucking hair. Later on, you started seeing shit like some of the early goth bands kind of had that same look too.
Well, like I said, there was a lot of like glam rock in that. Because look at like New York Dolls and stuff like that had that kind of look like in the early 70s.
Some of the stuff from like early Susie and the Banshees and Susie kind of looked like something out of very early Motley Crue. There was a lot of crossover.
Yeah, there wasn't as large a distinction back then.
No.
I feel like.
You knew that it was a different thing. It's just that they were they were playing off each other.
Yeah. And like I think I mentioned this on our goth show, but it's kind of like when we were growing up in the 80s and early 90s, because there were so few people that were into goth, punk, post-punk, whatever, you kind of tended to hang out together even if you weren't into the exact same shit. It wasn't as...
Yeah, that's right. Seasons in the Abyss. That's what the name of that album was.
There you go. Lou got it.
Seasons in the Abyss. They had another one that came out later. I think it came out in like 94, 95. And it came in a damn metal sleeve that went over the cover. It was bluish, metallic blue kind of color and black album. It was really good too. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, fuck. Around 95. That shit was fucking badass. It was even harder. 94, 95, around that time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, like, you had a slightly different, because you kind of you were into metal and then later got into, goth and new wave and stuff. Whereas I kind of started out, when I was little, with new wave and then went into goth and punk.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like, I got into, like, you're older than me, but I got into, like, goth and punk before, a little bit before you did. Icarus72 said Susie is awesome. I agree.
Yeah.
And also, early mid-'80s new wave was awesome. I still listen to that shit nowadays. I never get sick of it. Never. Tila asks, random question, toilet paper under or over? Over.
Yeah.
He does it under whenever he puts it on the roll, which is not that often. But...
Okay, name of that album that I was talking about was called Divine Intervention. That bitch was good, too. Really good album.
Oh, okay.
I had the very first Slayer album.
I can see being into that kind of shit. Like, I was never super into metal, but I can see why people would be into that.
The very first Slayer album was called Face the Slayer. Oh, no. That was the first song on it. It was called... Fuck, what was the name of that very first album? It was called...
I don't know. What are you asking me for?
I'll see.
Yeah, you have a Google thing right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's like, I love this. You have in your hands there. Yeah. You have all the accumulated knowledge of humankind.
It was called Show No Mercy, fucking 1983.
And yet he still asks me.
Yeah, that bitch.
And I'm like, bitch, I don't know. I'm not Google.
when Show No Mercy came out in '83, that shit was fucking mind blowing. During that same time, I was also listening to Venom. I had like black metal. What was it called? 1,000 Days in Sodom was one of them, and Welcome to Hell. Those three albums, and they were fucking badass. And then Slayer came out of nowhere with Show No Mercy, and we're like, what the fuck is this? It was really fast and really hard, and it was almost kind of like a fucking really intense punk rock music when we first heard it. To me, it was like Iggy Pop's first album, fucking Raw Power. It was like that, but on fucking...
Which is one of the best albums
which is a really good...
time.
It was like that, but it was like on meth. Yeah. You know, it was like, whoa, what the fuck is this shit? And Slayer helped change the game. And then a few months after that, an album came out that dudes that I had never heard of. They were called Metallica. It was called Kill 'Em All. And
I remember when that came out. That was like a big deal.
we were all fucking blown away by this new fucking band. And then it just seemed like a few months later, something called Ride the Lightning came out. And that album just blew your fucking mind in the 80s when Ride the Lightning came out. And I knew that metal had changed. Now, like I said, 2 years later, I was listening to Sisters of Mercy.
Yeah.
Or a year or so later, I was listening to... But I would still enjoyed all that metal. It had its place. That was like conventional. The goth stuff was new. That was like very unconventional from the American perspective. And it was starting to come in. I was like starting to get old enough to appreciate the nuances that were happening inside of like the Sisters of Mercy and Bauhaus.
Well, the thing about, like I said, metal is cool, but it just kind of seemed like goth, post-punk, shit like that.
Yeah.
That was more like experimental.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what I was into. Louis was saying ska was big when I was in high school. I like ska too. And somebody said you were a Gen Xer. I am as well. I was born in 1972. The toilet paper issue, everyone's like over. Thank you for agreeing with me, because that's the only correct thing. Under is just, I don't know, it's too much of a pain in the ass. I don't know why people do it like that. Filbert Grimm III asked, were the Sex Pistols goth? No. Goth was a very specific thing. The Sex Pistols were punk, but the interesting thing about the Sex Pistols is they were almost like manufactured punk. Because even before they got famous, I mean, there had been other punk singles before that. Very famously, probably the first punk single that came out, like as a single, was The Damned, right? Yeah. Who I actually love, and I still love The Damned to this day. Now, The Damned did like punk rock shit earlier, but then they kind of went post-punky, gothy kind of later. They did an album called Phantasmagoria, which came out in, what, 85? Yeah. That was a very goth rock album. It's like, I love that fucking album. And that's Nick Cave's wife on the cover there, before they met. Fun fact. But yeah, that's a great album. But I also like all their old punk rock shit too. I mean, like fucking, man, New Rose, all that kind of shit. I love those fucking singles. So punk rock had been going on for a while. Like, I think Sex Pistols, I like the Sex Pistols.
The Sex Pistols were old when I heard it.
And
that was 77.
Well, yeah. And they had been around since 75, 76, something like that. So I kind of feel like by the time that punk rock came over to the U.S., it was already like over in the UK.
Hey, Anacree, if you like this shirt, man, just send me a $20 super chat and I'll make you one. We make these. It's even labeled 13 o'clock on the back. You can't see it because of my fucking long ass
Because of your beautiful...
My beautiful long flowing
hair.
fucking hair and shit.
Your beautiful
but,
hair.
No, we make these. You can see right there.
Well, we make that, and I made this one, too.
Yep. But $20, if you're in the continental United States, I can send you one of your choice in terms of size. Okay.
Yeah, Scott says The Damned rule. I agree. Honestly, I've liked pretty much everything. And, like, The Damned have gone in a bunch of different directions. Like I said, they started out as kind of like a punk rock band, and then they went, like, post-punk. They did some goth shit. And then, later... in the 2000s, they went kind of more in a psychobilly kind of direction, and I was into that as well. If you don't have their album, when did it come out? 2004, I want to say. It was called Grave Disorder. It's actually really, really good. I actually really, really love that album. I listen to it all the time. But yeah, so yeah, they've been around forever, and I really, really like them. You guys should make a video on John Lang if we haven't. That's not familiar, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is. Icarus72 says The Cult. Woo. I'm like, you're into The Cult.
They were good. They had I liked the Southern Death Cult, the very first White album. They had that one. That was good.
Yeah, I'm kind of more into them when they were like more death rock.
It was kind of
like Southern Death Cult when they did like the Fat Man single and all that kind of stuff.
Then that the Cult Electric album came out. I was in Brazil at that time. It was a really good time. My life, that was like I was senior year in Sao Paulo, Brazil, fucking going to the international high school. I was listening to that right alongside with Duran Duran's Notorious and fucking Billy Idol's Whiplash Smile. And so I was listening to all that around the same time, and fucking the Cult fucking really, that Cult Electric album really kind of blended in with the sounds of the time. It was good. That was before. No, I had heard. I had already heard Sisters of Mercy. I was listening to that. And I was listening to the Bauhaus albums.
Yeah.
So it did kind of play in at that time. I liked it. To me, I kind of thought of it as a slightly more gothic version of AC/DC without the guitar solos.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little bit harder version of early Sisters of Mercy, like First, Last, and Always. I liked it, but I also knew that it was commercial.
I think that's the reason I couldn't really get all that. Like, I like it, but I couldn't get as into it. It's kind of like I couldn't get into...
It was like Motley Crue. It was commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good, but
it was
just,
good.
I didn't really have like a lot of connection to
No.
it because it just sounded like too much like everything else.
Even though Billy Idol was a bigger band than that, Billy Idol was a lot more underground feeling than Cult had.
Weirdly.
In a weird way, yeah. Like, to me, Billy Idol will always be fucking underground. It just, if you don't like it, fuck you. That's the way he wrote those songs or bought those songs. He was being himself. It wasn't really a pop music thing, even though pop liked him. You know what I mean? He was in top 40 easily. He was top 10 a couple times with Eyes Without a Face.
It's like I'm always kind of more into, bands that sort of like stumble into popularity rather than like pursuing popularity.
Yeah, right. And for me, that would be Billy Idol. He just kind of stumbled into it. It was.
I mean, and
partially an accident.
And he had cred also.
Yeah, he was a punk rocker.
He was in Gen X. It's like he wasn't really. He hung out with Susie Sue. He hung out with like all the.
He
all
knew
the
guys from the Sex Pistols.
Right.
So he was a real punk rocker, and he was a kid. He was fucking on heroin, and he was not the squeaky clean guy. He was a British fucking street kid, really. From the wrong side of the tracks, making it big in America, and he was high most of the time. He'll tell you that.
I kind of feel like everybody was back then.
But he was a great performer, and
Yeah.
he had the right look, and he cared about his fans and the music, and he cared about his shows. And Steve Stevens was a great backup and support for him. If it wasn't for Steve Stevens, the Billy Idol would have never happened. A lot of that had to do with Stevens, his sound. And the accessibility of good songs they were buying. They bought a lot of the good songs or paid to have them cleaned up. Billy could write some things, but he wasn't a musical genius. But, like Eyes Without a Face was kind of cleaned up,
Well, the thing about it is that if you get picked up by a major label, then you're going to have like a bunch of people looking into your shit and saying, hey, we need to like hire these producers and like fix all this shit up. Because you can't just like put out some shit like, it's that kind of thing. So I can see how that happens.
Yeah.
But, all right. So he started.
Probably about time to fucking end the stream anyway.
Probably. I want some meatloaf.
Yeah, I'll get us something to eat. You ready?
And I'm on like my third drink. Well, actually, it's kind of like my sixth drink because you make like big giant ones. Mm-hmm. I'm still like coherent though, and we got through the whole fucking case.
Yep.
I'm so proud of myself.
All right, so if you guys, when's the next time we're streaming?
Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday, and we're going to be talking about the movie Split.
Yeah.
The
movie.
M Night
Shyamalan. If you haven't seen Unbreakable and Split, go ahead and watch those. And they're fucking great superhero
Honestly,
movies.
we watched Split last night.
Yeah, it was.
I had
good.
seen Unbreakable several times, and I had seen Glass.
Yeah.
But I had never seen Split.
Yeah.
So we watched it last night, and you know what? Out of the three, I think I like that one the best.
Yeah. Hey, Tila, I was meant to ask you, did you see Spartacus yet? I gave you.
She
homework.
mentioned earlier that it's like she thought that she was supposed to watch Bronson first. Tom gives you rules. You have to adhere to them. It's just
okay. Well,
like
you can get Bronson out of the way pretty quickly. All right. But the thing is that you really to see Bronson. Yeah, whatever. I would see Clockwork Orange before you see Bronson.
Well, it does inform Bronson.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Clockwork Orange, you have to see that. Well, you don't have to, but it's like it does really like kind of inform.
You kind of understand what they're doing a little bit.
I don't know. Like the older I get, I'm just kind of like, because like, look, you guys, here's an example. A movie that I just watched yesterday and that I reviewed that will be going up next week as some time was this movie called Piercing. And that movie very, very directly references a bunch of different Dario Argento movies. Can you enjoy this movie without knowing what it's referring to? Sure. But if you watch the Dario Argento movies beforehand, it's like a much better, richer experience. So, I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing because I'm old, so it's hard, like, for younger people. I know they don't have, like, you know, the time or the experience, and they haven't had, like, all the years on the earth.
Yeah.
To have, like, watched all this shit beforehand, and they're just like, hey, I get that reference. Hey, I get that reference. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, I think you're missing out on a lot of stuff if you don't.
Yeah, but look. The thing is with Spartacus is that Spartacus is a series, and there's 4 seasons of that. You don't have to watch that fucking solid. You know what I mean? And the first episode of Spartacus is not really the story. Really, it doesn't really start kicking off until like episode 2 and 3, doesn't it? Spartacus.
Yeah, I mean, the first episode, you got to see that because it's kind of like set up.
It's set up, right?
But yeah, the first one's like not fantastic.
It's not that
but
good.
They had to kind of like set everything up.
Right.
I get
was watching the very first episode and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this series. Then the second episode I went, oh, this is gonna be pretty good. And then it just consistently got better and better and better throughout every season. Even though the star dies in real life from cancer.
Yeah, he died.
At the end of season 2. Another thing is it's not real linear. The first couple seasons are in order, but then they gotta fucking do it. They go back. And I think it was in season 3, right?
Yeah.
In season 3, season 2. Season 2 is a flashback, isn't it? Or is that season 3 that's a flashback?
I think it was season 3. That was
right. Well, you'll see.
Well, because I think it was because the character, like Batiatus and all that, was like so popular.
You had to know where
that you had to like go back and do a prequel because of what happened.
Yeah.
You know.
So you can watch. What I'm saying is because that's 4 seasons of material, you can watch some Spartacus and then throw Bronson in there. I would do what she said.
Well, she's already seen Clockwork Orange.
Okay, then yeah, go see Bronson then.
I mean, Bronson is like, it's in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
It's not quite like Clockwork Orange, but it's kind of like in the same ballpark.
Yeah. They think you've seen A Clockwork Orange already. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, the older I get, I'm kind of like, I just assume everyone's seen Clockwork Orange because it's a fucking classic, right? And I just assume that it's one of those movies that everybody's seen. But I take it for granted that, like, people that are maybe in their 20s have never seen it.
And then after Bronson, you want to throw in, eventually, you want to see fucking Legend. About the Crape twins.
Well, yeah. Not the one with the devil in. Although you should see that one, too, because that one's awesome. No, the one with Tim Curry as the devil.
No, it's the one with fucking Reggie Ronnie Cray in it.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too. That's all British true crime stuff.
Yeah, that was actually a good one. Although, like I said, the movie that came out, I can't remember what year it came out, but it was just called The Craze. I think it came out in the 90s.
But I put Spartacus up at the fucking top. And they got that on Amazon Prime. Is it for free on Amazon? I think it is.
Wait, which one?
Spartacus. I didn't think we paid for that.
No, I don't think we paid for it. There's ads.
Yeah, there's ads on it, yeah.
But
if you got Amazon Prime, you can see that for free.
Yeah, you can watch it.
Yeah, it's good.
But I was just thinking about Split, because we watched Split, but, like...
Yeah.
We had to pay for that, but I think it was only $4.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, somebody was talking about James McAvoy. Yeah, he's amazing. He was in the X-Men movies too. And he was also in Last King of Scotland. Somebody mentioned that. He was also good. He's like a really good actor. And honestly, like I said, I had never seen Split, but I think that's like my favorite one of the trilogy now.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. Victor Garcia says Take Shelter is on Prime. But that's on my list, man. I keep meaning to fucking watch that. I will get around to it, I promise. I promise. All right. So, you ready to wrap it up?
Yep.
We went for three and a half hours.
Yeah,
and we covered the shit, and we're not too inebriated, and I'm starving.
Yep. Let's get something to eat.
So, we will be back on Sunday talking about the movie Split, probably. So, thank everybody for dropping by. Have a good weekend. And we will see you on Sunday afternoon. Bye.